A tragedy in the artist's house. Ryan was a famous artist. Unfortunately, when he was 60, he had an accident that left him blind. The man hired 3 people to help him: Jason, the driver, Laura, the housekeeper, and Timothy. He looked after the garden. One afternoon, Timothy went to talk to Ryan and found the artist on the floor. Someone had attacked him. The police arrived to investigate. Jason told him he and Ryan had had a great time in the morning playing computer games. Then he left to pick up Ryan's daughter from the airport. Laura said she'd spent all day in the kitchen cooking dinner. And Timothy said that before finding Ryan, he had been at the market choosing new fruit trees for the garden. Who is behind the attack? It was Jason. Ryan was blind and couldn't play computer games. Bizarre guests. When Melissa was traveling around Europe, she met several girls who were from the same city as her. They got along very well. When all of them returned from the trip, Melissa decided to organize a get-together and invited them to her house. The girls came with a big cake and lots of colorful balloons. But even before they touched the food or drinks, Melissa felt dizzy and lost consciousness. When the girl recovered, she was having a splitting headache. There was nobody around, and all her money and other valuables were missing. Melissa looked at the photos taken before she fainted. After examining them for a couple of minutes, she understood what had happened. Can you figure it out? There was sleeping gas in the balloons. The other girls must have put on face masks not to be affected by the gas. When Melissa lost consciousness, they took all her expensive stuff and left. Wow, time to get some better friends, huh? A mysterious disappearance. Stephen called the police and told him his wife Lisa was missing. She called her husband at 8 in the evening and told him she was about to go home, but she never arrived. The police questioned 3 suspects. Ashley, Lisa's best friend, said she had just returned from her vacation. Mark, the neighbor, was sure he'd seen Lisa in the afternoon, driving off in her car. And Paul, Lisa's colleague, told the police he'd spotted the woman in a shopping mall in the evening. Who's lying? Paul knows something about Lisa's whereabouts. The woman wasn't in the shopping mall that night. She was at a movie theater. A call to the police. Amanda was going through a deserted park when someone hit her on the head. When she recovered, her bag, along with her phone, money, and documents, were gone. There were no people around but for one elderly lady. Amanda rushed toward her, explained the situation, and asked to call the police. The lady told her not to worry and started to press 911 on her phone. After talking for a minute, she said, "They're going to be here in no time." As soon as Amanda heard these words, she sprinted off. Why? Amanda saw the lady's phone didn't have any signal. Then how could she call the police? A suspicious senior citizen. A date. Betty was on cloud 9 after 2 guys asked her out. But she felt she couldn't give hope to both of them. She had to choose one. Stephen was her secret crush. From a rich family, handsome and smart. She'd been dreaming about him for a year. John was a good guy too. She knew for sure he was kind and funny. The girl was at a loss. Which one should she pick? Any ideas? Betty should go for John. Stephen isn't serious about her. He has a lipstick mark on his neck, left there by Stanley. So yeah, better choose John. A bizarre code. Brian's friends invited him to spend the summer vacation in Europe with them. Unfortunately, the guy had serious study problems. To punish him, his dad took his passport away and locked it in a safe. The only way for Brian to get his documents and have some fun was to crack the code. Yeah, we still don't want to crack the books, huh? When he sneaked into his dad's study, he saw a piece of paper stuck to the safe. There were 3 drawings on it: a rose, a rainbow, a calico cat, and a banana. Brian thought for a while and then pressed 4 numbers. The code was correct and the safe opened. Which numbers were they? Two, 7, 3, 1. Each digit corresponds to the numbers of colors of the objects in the picture. An anxious husband. A man called the police. He could hardly talk. "My wife! She got into a car accident!" When the police arrived, the woman had been already rushed to a hospital. The detectives found out that she had crashed into a tree right next to her house. The car was beyond repair. One of the police officers examined the vehicle and saw the woman's bag. Inside, he found her driver's license and car keys, some money and bank cards, a notebook and her passport. After that, the husband was immediately arrested. Why? How could the woman's car key be in her bag if she was driving? That's a good question. Find the thief. Detective Lawrence was walking along the street when he heard someone screaming. He rushed over there and saw a teenager crying. What happened? "I was talking to my friend when someone grabbed my phone and pushed me to the ground. When I came to my senses, there was no one around, but I saw that cafe's door closing." The detective entered the cafe the girl was talking about and looked around. There were 5 people inside. All of them seemed to be rather decent. Can you figure out who's the criminal? It's the man near the coffee machine. His drink is still steaming. It means he just bought it. A crime in the neighborhood. One day, Mr. Martin called the police. His car was stolen right from the street outside his house. The detective questioned 3 suspects. Eric, a teenager who lived next door, said he had been at school and had seen nothing suspicious. Amy, a young artist renting a house across the street, had been too engrossed in her work to pay attention to her surroundings. But Mr. Brandon, an elderly man whose house was next to Amy's, accused Eric of taking the car. Mr. Brandon was having his breakfast when he saw the teenager get into the vehicle and drive off. Strangely, after his words, the police officers arrested the elderly man. Why? The only thing Mr. Brandon could see out of his window during breakfast was his tall brick wall. Desperate for help. Kenneth, a newbie police officer, was walking along the street, proudly wearing his uniform. Suddenly, a pretty girl rushed toward him. "Help!" she screamed. "I've been mugged!" After Kenneth made her calm down, the girl told him her story. "I was walking home from college when a man ran up to me. He hit me in the eye and took all my jewelry and money." When Kenneth heard this, he immediately realized the girl was lying. How? The girl was wearing glasses. If the criminal had hit her in the eye, her glasses would have been shattered. A runaway wife. Sharon's husband was a wealthy businessman. He never had time for his wife. One day, the young woman had enough. She took some money and ran away. She knew it wouldn't be difficult for her husband to find her. That's why she tried to be as discreet as possible. The next hotel where she checked in was good, but nothing special. She hardly had enough time to unpack her things when someone knocked on the door. The man said he was from the reception. But when Sharon opened the door, she realized her husband's people had found her. How did she figure it out? The man's uniform was different from the one the hotel receptionists were wearing. A missing collection. Mr. Bernard had an unusual hobby. He collected rare watches. One day, he came home and discovered his collection was gone. He called the police. They decided to start by questioning the man's neighbors. George said he had a busy day – meetings, video conferences, emails. Anna told police she had been feeling unwell since the very morning. She canceled all her plans and stayed in bed. Jason said his car had broken down and he'd been repairing it for the whole day. One person seemed suspicious enough for the police to arrest them. Who was it? Anna was lying. Look at her, all dressed up, wearing accessories and makeup. She doesn't look like a person who has spent all day in bed. A blatant lie. A famous pop singer, Anthony Black, was attacked after his concert. He was taken to a hospital. The police questioned several of his fans. Linda was crying. "I took Anthony's autograph and couldn't wait to boast to my friends about it." Lisa said, "I asked Mr. Black to sign his photo. After I got it, I went to buy a coffee." Jason added, "Anthony was super nice and friendly. I didn't notice anything strange." The police immediately arrested the fan who seemed suspicious. Who was it? It was Lisa. The autograph in the photo looks different from the singer's real signature. Riddle number 1. Who is guilty? Sherlock Holmes was working on a tricky case. One day he vanished. The only thing John Watson found on his desk was an encrypted note. It looked like this: D+1, L+1, H+1, K+1, X+1. He knew Sherlock had 3 suspects: David, Susan, and Emily. Who was behind the disappearance of the famous detective? John Watson cracked the code. D+1 equals E, L+1 equals M, and so on. Emily knew where Sherlock was. 2. Generous grandfather. Jason and his grandfather were very close. They spent a lot of time together. Their favorite entertainment was to crack detective riddles. Unfortunately, the elderly man passed away unexpectedly. His lawyer informed the relatives that the grandfather had hidden all his money, and he was a wealthy man. The one who would find it would get all the inheritance. Jason realized the grandfather wanted him to get everything. He ran to his office and soon found out where to look for the money. Can you figure it out? There's a cross on the picture with an apple tree that's hanging on the wall. Jason has to look for the money there. 3. The second riddle. When Jason reached the tree, he found a small box. Inside there was a note with a rebus puzzle. After looking at it for a while, the guy darted off. Where did he run? The rebus says back door. That's where Jason headed. There, under the stairs, he found another box with a key to a bank safe deposit box inside. 4. East and West. The king's 2 most trusted bodyguards created a method of keeping their boss safe. With the monarch between them, they were going to stand looking in the opposite directions. One would face the west and the other the east. At the same time, without using any reflective surfaces, they would both see the king clearly. How would they do it? They would be facing each other. 5. Attacked neighbor. Detective Oliver Norton was leaving for work in the morning when he saw a man running out of his neighbor's house. He stopped the guy, who said his name was Paul. He came to visit his colleague about 30 minutes ago and saw him fighting with a man. The door was locked and Paul couldn't get inside to help. While he was trying to find the way to enter the house, the criminal left. Paul entered and saw his colleague lying on the kitchen floor, unconscious. Oliver and Paul came into the house. Nothing seemed to be out of the ordinary, but after looking around the kitchen, the detective arrested the man. Why? Paul was the one to attack Oliver's neighbor. If his words had been true, fried eggs would have been burned after 30 minutes of cooking. 6. Diving disaster. You're a scuba diver who's exploring the seafloor on your own. After visiting one cave after another, you find out you've lost your way. You start panicking because you have barely enough oxygen to make it back to the surface. Suddenly, you see the cave you're in has 3 exits, but one of them is guarded by 3 giant jellyfish, the second by electric eels, and in the third opening, there are huge whale sharks. Which passage should you opt for? Choose the exit guarded by whale sharks. They get their food by filtering water and are totally harmless to people. 7. Stolen documents. At 11 a.m., Liam got a call from his friend, the owner of a law firm. The man was in distress. A very important document had disappeared from his office. It had been on the desk the evening before, but nowhere to be found in the morning. Liam immediately went there to question the employees. In no time, he had 3 suspects. Elijah said he had spent the previous evening at the movies. Mason had taken his girlfriend to dinner, and Evelyn had visited an art gallery. It didn't take Liam long to understand who was lying. It was Elijah. His ticket wasn't torn. 8. Real or fake? Kevin decided to visit his elderly aunt he hadn't seen for several months. But when he got to her house, he saw 2 men wearing construction worker uniforms. They were moving out some furniture. What are you doing here?" Kevin asked. "Miss Saunders hired us to help her get rid of old furniture. We're from Pick and Carry Transport Company," one of the men answered. He sounded sincere, but Kevin felt there was something wrong about the whole situation. Suddenly, he realized the men were thieves. How did he understand it? There was no company van near the aunt's house, just a dark car with tinted windows. Plus, why were the men wearing construction worker uniforms if they were movers? 9. Anxious wife. Ryan got into a car accident. He was badly injured and lost his memory. The man was rushed to a hospital. When he came around in his room, he saw 3 young women near his bed. The doctor informed them Ryan had to stay there for at least a week. Unfortunately, the poor man couldn't remember who the women were. Each of them claimed to be his wife. "Sweetheart, but what if you never remember me?" the woman on the left was crying. "Honey, I'm so worried. Let's go home and I'll take care of you," the one in the middle exclaimed. The girl on the right was furious. "They're trying to steal you from me. Let's leave this place right away." Which lady is the man's wife? The woman on the left was crying. She's the only one who's worried. The other 2 want to take Ryan away from the hospital, but he's injured and needs medical care. 10. Gas station accident. Brian was driving home late in the evening when he noticed he was running out of gas. He stopped by at a gas station to fill the gas tank and buy some snacks. When he came up to the employee to pay, she told him $5.05. Brian paid, went outside, and called the police to report an emergency. Why? The cash register showed $18.35, but the cashier said $5.05, which looks like SOS. 11. Trapped in a well. Eric was a famous detective. Once he was investigating a case and found some crucial evidence. The next morning, he woke up in a well. It was old, deep, but luckily not filled with water. On the flip side, there was no way he could get out to the surface. Suddenly, Eric saw his main suspect's face at the top of the well. "You won't live long enough to rat me out," the man shouted. And then the detective felt soil falling on his head. The criminal was going to bury him alive. But in an hour, Eric was already out of the well and running away. How did he manage to get out? The detective started to shake off and tamp down the soil that was falling into the well. He was getting closer and closer to the surface until he managed to jump out and run away. 12. Winter Escape. Mark and Liza had been dating for 2 years. One day, the guy came to his girlfriend's house. He was going to propose to her. But when he made it there, he found Liza with another man. Mark was furious. The other guy got scared and rushed out of the house. Liza was shouting it was his brother, but Mark knew better. Unfortunately, he hadn't seen the guy's face clearly. When he ran outside, he saw 3 men. Which one is Liza's lover? It's the guy on the left. It's freezing outside, and the other 2 guys have red cheeks and noses. But the third guy's face is pale because he just left a warm house. 13. A bus driver. A bus driver is heading down the road from Los Angeles to Las Vegas. It's been a long day and he's worn out. He yawns several times and ignores a stop sign. A police car is passing by right at this moment. The officers inside see the driver turning the wrong way onto a one-way street. But they don't arrest him. Why? The man's walking, not driving a bus. 14. A mysterious man. A man and a woman are driving along a road at breakneck speed. Suddenly, the man pulls the car over. He tells the woman he'll be right back and sprints into a large building. The car doors are locked, all the windows are up. But when the man returns, he finds the woman unconscious. There's also a stranger in the car with her. Surprisingly, instead of pulling him out of the car, the man hugs him. Who is the stranger and how did he enter the car? The woman was in labor, and the man was driving her to a hospital. By the time he returned with a doctor, the woman had already given birth and passed out from exhaustion. The stranger in the car was the man's son. Well, that's a happy ending. Guess the weight. Jake was buying veggies for his lunch recipe. He purchased a bag of carrots when a shady man approached him and told him, "Sir, I don't have any money with me, but I really need those carrots. Let's make a deal. If I write your carrots' exact weight on this paper, you'll have to give them to me. If I don't, I'll give you my watch." Jake agreed, thinking there was too small a chance for the stranger to guess the number correctly. The mysterious guy scribbled something on the paper and gave it to Jake. As soon as Jake read it, he handed him the bag of carrots. What did the man write on the paper? Your carrot's exact weight, just like he said he would. Will he win the game? Mark was visiting a new game store in his neighborhood. That day, staff members were giving away free games if the customers answered their questions correctly. Mark got in the queue and waited anxiously to see if he'd get the board game he wanted. When his turn arrived, the staff member said, "What has 6 faces but doesn't wear makeup, has 21 eyes but can't see?" Mark was relieved when he heard the riddle, and as soon as he answered, he got the game. What was his reply? A dice. The indivisible apples. Sam went apple picking with his sister, and on the way back, they met their 4 cousins. There were only 5 apples in the basket, and Sam had to divide them equally between his sister and their cousins. But one apple had to remain in the basket that he'd take home. How would he divide the apples? He'd give 4 apples to his 4 cousins, leaving 1 apple in the basket for his sister, and walk home with her. The new retail store. John's friend Susie opened a new retail store, and she came up with a new method to price her stock. A tie cost $15, a belt $20, a beret $25, and a blazer $30. Using this method, how much would a handbag cost? $35. She's charging $5 for each letter you need to spell a clothing item. The apple tree. Simon won the title for being the smartest person in his town. One day, he woke up in an evil scientist basement – oh, who would have thought? – who wanted to prove that Simon was cheating at each test. So he broadcasted the event live on social media to prove his point. He said, "All right, Simon, I'll ask you a simple math question. A farmer in California has an apple tree in his backyard and supplies the fruit from the tree to a local grocery store. On Sunday, the store owner called the farmer to see how much fruit he'll deliver on Monday. The farmer knows that the main trunk has 26 branches. Each branch has exactly 15 boughs, each bough 8 twigs, and each twig 1 fruit. How many oranges will the farmer deliver?" Simon immediately gave the correct reply. Can you? "None," said Simon. "Apple trees don't bear oranges." Well. When partying goes wrong. Mason, Jacob, Susie, and Edward were having a party at Edward's place. The next day, Edward was found unconscious, and none of the 3 friends knew what happened to him. When the police showed up, they found a note next to Edward's calendar. It read 3, 4, 9, 10, 11. Immediately, the detective knew who did it. What about you? It was Mason. The note was next to a calendar. Take the first letters, transform them into months, and you get Mason. 3 equals March, 4 equals April, 9 equals September, 10 equals October, 11 equals… which one is that? Where's Mary? Sarah and Jamie were spending the weekend at Mary's house. On Saturday, they went to bed late, and when they woke up the next day, Mary was gone. She left a note on her nightstand that read, "Come find me here, noon-DL." What does the note point to? A city, a famous mountain, a forest, or an island? A city. If you unscramble the letters, it reads London. The right door. Mike was driving for 7 hours on the freeway when his tire blew up. He called for help, and they said it will cost him $200 to fix it. He was angry because he was thirsty, hungry, and didn't have any money. In front of him, still sitting in the car, 3 doors appeared, each with signs above showing where they lead. The first is full of food: burgers, spaghetti, lobsters, and pizza. The second is topped with beverages, from energy drinks to sodas and iced teas. The third door has $1 million in cash. Which door should Mike open first? His car door. Who took the car? Mr. Ronald returned home from his 3-week vacation only to find his car missing. He left 3 of his employees at work to take care of the house, but none of them were there when he returned. To catch them off guard, Mr. Ronald video called each one. Sean said he was on the bus back home after a long night out. George said he was heading to school for his lecture, but he could pop by to help him find his car. Chris said he had just arrived at his hotel room in Italy and had no idea what happened with the vehicle. Right away, Mr. Ronald knew who was lying. It was Chris. The clock behind him showed the exact same time as the one on his phone. He wasn't in Italy. The correct path. Luke was hiking in the mountains for 2 days when he got lost. He came across 2 paths. One leads to a nearby town, and the other one will get him lost forever. There are 2 twin girls there who know which way leads to the town. Luke can only ask them one question, but there's a catch. One of the girls always lies, and the other always tells the truth. And Luke doesn't know which one will be truthful. 25 minutes later, Luke arrived at the nearby town. What did he ask the girls? If I ask your sister for the correct path, which one would she show me? They'll both point in the same direction, which means Luke took the path they didn't point at. Where's he hiding? Jim escaped from prison on Saturday. The police had been patrolling the town he was last seen in until they got a tip. A neighbor saw him entering one of these 3 houses, but he couldn't remember which one. The police took a closer look at the houses and arrested him. How did they find out the correct house? It's the last one on the right. The car is facing the road, a common technique people on the run use to get away without losing time. Where does she live? Mia left her mother's home because they had a big argument. Her mother wanted to know where her daughter was going, but when she got back home from work on Tuesday, Mia was still missing. Mia didn't have a phone, and her mom didn't know where she went. 2 hours later, she found out where she was staying. How? She dialed the last number on the phone and told the person on the other side that they'd won the lottery. She told them they needed their name and address to give them the prize. Which is the correct door? Shane is an archaeologist who snuck into some underground caves in Egypt. When the guards spotted him, they started chasing him. He ran fast and came across, guess what? 3 doors. Behind the first one were 4 aggressive crocodiles. Behind the second was an explosive device that would go off in 5 minutes. And behind the third was a dirty pond filled with bacteria and parasites. Which door should he pick? The second door. But because the guards were coming quickly, he should move the device to the room with the crocodiles and then run away to avoid being caught. The lost suitcase. Jenna and Neil got back from their holidays in Hawaii. Upon returning, they discovered that their suitcase never made it into the baggage claim area. It was either lost or taken by somebody. The briefcase had a lock on it. When airport security showed up, they questioned 3 people with some convincing alibis. The steward said he checked the plane and couldn't find any luggage. The captain said the suitcase was probably forgotten in Hawaii, but nobody would open it because it was locked. The airport security guard said he just called the airport in Hawaii, and nobody knew what happened. Immediately, the police arrested the captain. Why? He knew the suitcase was locked, but nobody told him that. The break-in. Susan's apartment was broken into the day before Halloween. When she went home from work and saw the mess, She called the police. The door didn't have any signs of a break-in, just an open window. The detectives questioned 3 of her neighbors. Mrs. Ruth was knitting a pair of gloves for her great-granddaughter. Michael said he was working a 14-hour shift the day before, and he was sleeping all day. Dennis said he had broken his leg and didn't leave his home for 3 weeks. The police immediately knew who was guilty. It was Michael. He was the only one able to climb into a window. Wait a minute, you don't think Granny could do that? You should see her doing burpees. Uh-oh, Allie was missing for days when her husband Orson called the police to report it. Detective Wells arrived at the scene and found her purse buried in the garden. Inside, there was a note that read, "It's a sign, you're mine. I redesign your new life." The police had 3 suspects with unusual names: Orson, her husband, Ryan, her best friend, and Atlas, her brother. Who took Allie? It was Ryan. Almost all the words in the note rhyme with his name. While driving in a storm, John saw 3 people standing in the rain at the bus stop, but he only had 1 seat available in his car. Who gets the ride? His childhood friend, an old lady that looks like she's freezing, or his wife? John asked his childhood friend to drive the old lady to the hospital and then take the car back to his house, and John himself will wait for the bus with his wife. Mark is locked in a 30-foot-tall cell with an earthen floor and a window near the ceiling. There's nothing else in his room but a shovel and a bed. The entrance is blocked with concrete. How can he get out? Mark can shovel the soil to the wall underneath the window and climb out. Detective Jones was called one day by Border Control about a suspicious pickup truck. Every day, the vehicle went back and forth between 2 countries with a large sack in the back of its truck bed. When the detective opened the sack, it was filled with sand. What was the driver smuggling? Trucks. A geography teacher vanished on the first day of school. When the police arrived, they suspected 4 people who claimed to have alibis. The landscaper was mowing the front lawn. The English teacher was giving students a surprise test. The principal was preparing for his welcoming speech. And the coach was meeting new students who wanted to join the football team. Who was lying? The English teacher, of course! Students don't get surprise tests on the first day. Well, maybe not at this school. A crazy scientist took 10 people into his lab to check their intelligence. He gave everyone 2 pills and a glass of water. He told them, one pill is a placebo and the other is poison. Whichever you take, I'll take. But somehow everyone ended up unconscious after the trial except for the scientist. How did he do it? Both pills were placebo. The poison was in the water. Shane and Mia went to Japan for their honeymoon. Only Shane came back, and Mia's family called the best detective in town. What should be the detective's first move? Inspect Shane's suitcase. Inspect Shane's house. Call the travel agency Shane and Mia used. Call the agency to see how many return tickets Shane had booked. He's a suspect, and he shouldn't know the police are investigating him to avoid losing the evidence. Someone knocked on Amy's hotel room door. When she opened it, she saw a mysterious man. He apologized and said he'd mistaken Amy's room for his. When he left, Amy called the police. Why? Nobody knocks on the door of their own room. This is a technique used by people who want to break into someone's home. A worker was found unconscious near the entrance of an abandoned building. He has no memory of what happened, but seems to have fallen from the building. Detective Marks is assigned to this case, and he must figure out whether the worker fell or was pushed. He goes to the first floor, opens the window, and throws out a small rock. He does the same on the second floor and all the way to the top. When the detective comes back down, he's sure the worker was pushed. How does he know? He had to open windows on all floors to throw out rocks. This was an abandoned building, and someone closed the window right after pushing the worker. James ordered a coffee from his local bakery, put in some sugar, but then noticed a fly in his cup. He told the staff member, and they took back the coffee and brought him a new one. But when he got a sip, he got angry. Why? His new coffee was already sweetened. The staff member only removed the fly. Tom was walking in a snowy park at 10 p.m. when he got attacked from behind. He didn't see who knocked him out, and he immediately went to the police. The detectives questioned 4 suspects. Adam said he was at a suit fitting for his dinner later. Daniel said he was hosting a party at his place. Susan said she was working out before going to work. And Luke said he went to the park to get some cool photos of flying birds. One of them is lying. Who? It's Luke. It's next to impossible to see birds at night in winter. Right before the final soccer match, the team's goalkeeper went missing. The police arrived and they had 3 suspects from the rival team. Mike said he was signing autographs for his friends. Jake said he had broken his ankle and he was getting a massage. John was training at the gym before the match. The police immediately knew who did it. It was Jake. You don't get a massage when you break your ankle. A doctor walked into an unconscious patient's ward. There, he saw a nurse buttoning up her shirt. As soon as she noticed him, she exclaimed, "It's not what you think." The nurse isn't lying, but why was her shirt unbuttoned in the first place? She got locked out of the changing room and knew that the patient was unconscious, so she went to his ward to change into her uniform. Yeah, I believe her. A group of 6 friends decided to check out an abandoned house in their neighborhood. When they arrived, Mark, one of the group, warned his friends not to go in. But all of them ignored him and walked in anyway. Mark stayed outside, but his friends never came out. What did he see that stopped him from going into the house? There were footprints going in, but none coming out. Detective Stevenson is taken by some of his mean supervisors who want to test his intelligence. They put him in a room with 2 doors. One leads to freedom, while the other opens onto a bottomless pit. There are 2 guards, either responsible for one door. One of them always tells the truth, while the other always lies. Stevenson doesn't know who's the honest one, and he can only ask one question to one of them. What should the question be to save his life? If I ask the security guard next to you which door leads to freedom, what will he say? The honest guard will say that the liar will point to the dangerous door. The liar will point to that one too. No matter who Stevenson asks, he should pick the door neither of them will point at. Melissa is walking down a dark alley when she notices a dark figure following her. She walks into a restaurant and sits at a table. The mysterious figure does the same. Then she yawns and immediately knows she's got a stalker. How? When she looked up, the mysterious figure was also yawning. It means they had been watching her. The director of a large company was found unconscious in his office. The police showed up, saw the messy office, and realized that a fight had gone down. They went to his secretary and asked to see the list of visitors that day. Immediately, they knew who did it. How? The last visitor was the culprit. During the fight, the wall clock also stopped because it got hit. It showed the exact time the last appointment took place. Sarah wanted to get some money from her brother for a house. She couldn't tell him the truth and asked him for an expensive gift. After a week, her brother gave her a glamorous tiara. Then she went to her second brother, asked for money, but he gave her jewelry. Still, she's got both money and jewelry. How is it possible? She asked for a similar jewelry item and sold one of them. Susie went on a dating website and found 3 guys that she liked, all with some very impressive backgrounds. But only one of them is telling the truth. Can you guess which one? Shane said he was an astronaut. He went to Mars and enjoyed a beautiful sunset. Chris said he was a scientist and went to the North Pole. He enjoyed being on floating ice and seeing both Arctic foxes and penguins. Dylan said he was a pilot, and once he flew his helicopter so fast he broke the sound barrier. Shane is telling the truth. The sunset on Mars is blue. There are no penguins in the North Pole, and helicopters can't travel faster than the speed of sound. Oh, and yes, we'll also ignore the fact that no one's been to Mars yet. Susie also thinks Shane has beautiful eyes, so who are we to disrupt this love connection? Okay, time for more riddles, the Parents Edition. There are 3 categories of questions: easy, which award 1 point each, average for 2 points, and hard for 3 points. We're going to start with the easy ones. Remember, every correct answer gives you 1 point. Jason and Steven are home alone with their kids. Jason is talking to his mother, and Steven is watching a baseball game on the TV. Who's being negligent? Jason. Although both babies might fall out the window and both dads should watch out, Jason's baby is on the higher floor. Whoops. Mila and Gregor cook dinner for their kids. Which one of them is, the most confused? Mila. She accidentally mixed up the plates. She gave the dog her daughter's food and is about to feed her daughter dog food. Yum. Sabrina and her son went to the mountains to spend the day sliding. Adam is barbecuing in the backyard while watching his daughter. Who's not watching their child properly? Sabrina. Her son is sliding right into a big hole in the ice. Rebecca and Natalie took their kids to the lake. The boys are about to jump from the cliff. Whose child is in danger? Natalie's. There's rocks under the cliff her son is about to jump from. Megan and Rachel were cleaning their kids' rooms. Rachel noticed her son's phone and decided to check it, and Rachel found her daughter's diary. Who's in trouble? Rachel. It's bad to read a child's personal things, but she's also going to be busted because her daughter is about to walk into the room. Mary and her son are spending time on the beach. Chris and his children are watching a TV. Which parent is doing something wrong? Mary. It's dangerous for anyone to be in the water during thunderstorms. Now we're moving to harder questions. Every correct answer awards 2 points. Meredith is teaching her daughter to do her makeup. Beverly is teaching her teenager to style her hair. Which mom is doing something wrong? Beverly. The hair straightener isn't plugged in. Nicole and Diana are spending time with their kids. Nicole is reading to her son, and Diana is watching cartoons with her daughter. Who is not behaving wisely? Nicole. She forgot about the food that she's cooking in the oven, and it's burning. So it's going to be takeout tonight. Bradley and Ryan's sons are blamed for painting a face on a neighbor's fence. Both boys denied doing it, and both fathers believe their sons. Who's been misled? Ryan. His son still has green paint on his hands that he couldn't properly wash off. Jennifer went for a walk with her son, but she got distracted talking on the phone. Mark left his daughter in a closed car while he entered a store to buy garden tools. Who has made a bigger mistake? Mark. It's dangerous to leave people or animals in a closed car, especially in the heat, when the car warms up very fast and there's a lack of fresh air inside. Brian is teaching his teen son how to drive, and Nancy is cooking a dinner with her daughter. Who isn't being wise? Brian. Nancy's daughter seems to be old enough to cut an apple, especially under supervision. But Brian can't control all of his son's actions in the car. Martha and her son went to the jungle, and she stopped to take some selfies. Peter took his son camping, and he's setting up the tent while his son is trying to light a fire. Who's not being smart? Martha. Her baby is approaching a snake that can be venomous. Melissa and Stephanie are doing chores. Melissa is handling the laundry, and Stephanie is cleaning the kitchen. Who should be more careful? Stephanie. Her daughter put her cell phone in a dishwasher. Tiffany and Michael's sons came back home after a study evening at their friend's house. Neither parents are suspicious. However, someone's son wasn't studying tonight. Who overlooked a party guy? Tiffany. Her son has a lipstick stain on his collar. Jack and Vivian took their kids to school. Now Jack is walking to work and Vivian is driving to a store. Who forgot something? Jack. He's still wearing his daughter's pink school backpack. Looking good, Jack. Charles and Penelope cooked breakfast for their kids. Which parent probably didn't get much sleep the previous night? Penelope. She gave her daughter a raw potato and didn't even peel it. Sandra is doing gardening with her daughter. George is watching his child swimming in a pool. Who's being stupid? George. He fell asleep and left his son in the pool unsupervised. What's more, the boy took off his armbands and can drown. Uh-oh. Elizabeth and John's daughters came home. They said they were doing a group science project, and both parents believed their daughters. Who didn't detect a lie? John. His daughter is wearing a sweater on a hot day, so she could be hiding something. Jessica and Aaron cooked a dinner for their families. Jessica cooked Thai soup, and Aaron made mashed potatoes. Who is a bad cook? Jessica. Her daughter poured her soup in a flower pot. Travis didn't let his daughter go to her friend's birthday party and told her to do her homework all day. Christina's son had to spend the day in his bedroom too, instead of going to the movies. When the teenagers came down to dinner at 7 o'clock, which parent didn't notice they're being lied to? Travis. It's raining and his daughter has wet hair. It means she was outside and not sitting in her bedroom. And finally, the hardest questions for 3 points each. Dustin is cooking dinner with his daughter. Joseph is mowing the lawn while his child is playing nearby. Who isn't smart? Joseph. Lawnmowers are very dangerous machines and should never be used if there are kids around. Sean is teaching his little son how to chop wood. Camilla is listening to music and washing the dishes while her baby is sleeping upstairs. Who's making a mistake? Camilla. The music is too loud, and she won't hear if her son wakes up and cries. Brandon and Daniel are watching their kids playing in the backyard. Who's not being wise? Daniel. His son is playing in the sunshine without a hat on and might get sunstroke. Pamela is getting ready for the meeting with her son's teacher at 12 o'clock. William is driving his son to a birthday party. Who isn't very attentive? Pamela. She must have confused the time. The meeting was at 12 o'clock, but it's already 1:30. Thomas is reading a newspaper while watching his son. Molly is talking on the phone while dinner is cooking in the oven. Who should rethink their actions? Molly. She forgot to turn on the oven. Samantha and Bob are sending their kids on a school field trip. Which of the parents forgot to do something? Bob. Why is he holding his son's lunch? The kid is not eating today. Sum up your points to check your results. If you got 25 points or less, You scored below average, but don't worry, check some of our other riddles to train for the next time. If you got 26 to 45, you have an average result. Keep it up. If you got between 46 to 60 points, you have an above-average result and you definitely are a riddles master. And finally, if you have 61 or more, you're a real genius. Or you're on your second or third time watching this video. Come on, fess up. Ellis had to go to the hospital the other day. When she entered, she immediately felt something off about the place. Walking along the hall, she spotted 3 doctors. There was something completely wrong about one of them. Which doctor is crazy? The one on the left, he's got wolf eyes and teeth, and there's no badge on his uniform. Stay away from him, Ellis. Alright, Ellis didn't listen to our piece of advice and went straight to Dr. Wolf's room. He says he needs to apply some new protective cream on her, but in fact, he just wants to test it. After covering Ellis with this magic lotion, she shouldn't have trusted him. He makes Ellis choose one of 3 containers to jump into. Wow, this is a weird hospital. One of them is filled with toxic waste. In the second container, there's acid that can eat through metal. The third one is filled with lava from a volcano that almost ruined a whole town a year ago. What container should Ellis choose? At least this time, Ellis made the right choice. She picked the container with lava. The volcano erupted a year ago, so the lava is already completely solid and cool. Okay, she nailed the first experiment, and Dr. Wolf gives Ellis a choice of 3 pills. He says the red one can help see the past, the blue one can help see the future, and the yellow one can help read other people's minds. Which one should Ellis choose? Ellis was smart enough this time. She randomly picked the yellow one, but she suspected it was another experiment. She gulped the water but never swallowed the pillow and still has it in her cheek. In fact, all 3 of them were poisoned. When the wolf went outside for a second, Ellis spat out the pill and ran away. Hey, try the urgent care clinic, Ellis. No wolves there. Ginny was cooking dinner for her friends. When everyone was at the table, she suddenly realized there was something wrong with one of her friends. Which friend didn't like the meal? It's Mike. He secretly shared it with Jenny's dog. Everybody knows that an old witch lives in this spooky old house. Nobody really wants to meet her. Mary is in this house right now, but she seems to be alone. How come? Who said witches can't have a name Mary? She was once young and beautiful too, but then that darn spell happened. One town had a weird law that said all the men had to be cleanly shaven, but no man was allowed to shave himself. The only person who was licensed to shave them was a 40-year-old hairdresser. But who shaved the hairdresser? Yeah, there was no need. The hairdresser was a woman. Allison met a stranger yesterday, and she immediately knew who he was. She hadn't seen this person before, and no one had ever described him to her. He wasn't a celebrity, and he wasn't doing anything unusual. So how come she knew who he was? The man was the twin brother of one of Allison's friends. Bill is a shoe shiner. He offers his services to passers-by for free. Still, people who accept it end up paying him of their own will. How so? Bill shines only one shoe for free. People don't want to look bizarre with just one clean shoe and have to pay for the shining of the other one. The king told his 3 daughters to place 3 identical kettles with the same amount of water on the fire. The king promised that the husband of the daughter whose kettle would boil first would become his heir. His youngest daughter's kettle boiled first. How come? While the other daughters kept lifting their kettle's lids to check if the water was already boiling, the youngest one kept it closed. Up for some math? Nah, just kidding. You'll only need your logic. Find a way to get 200 out of 188 by just using one line. Use the line to cut 188 horizontally. This way, you'll get two 100s. One person was 25 years old in 2000 and 20 years old in 2005. How is this possible? This person lived before Common Era. One man went to his friend's party and told his wife he'd be back before sunrise. He shaved and left home. He returned as promised before sunrise, but he was sporting a long, thick beard. How come? The man and his wife lived in a place with polar nights that can last for several months. A man was driving his car all the way from New York to Boston. Only at the end of the trip did he discover that one of his car's tires had been punctured from the very beginning. Still, he managed to reach his destination successfully, and his journey wasn't affected by this problem at all. How is it possible? The punctured tire was the spare one. The financial director of a big company finally persuaded new partners to sign a super important agreement. He then put this document into a folder and left it on the table in his office. When he arrived at work the next morning, the folder was gone. John gathered all the employees who were in the office at the time and questioned them. The cleaning lady said that she had been busy washing the floor and hadn't paid attention to anything around. The designer explained that he hadn't left his working place even once. What's more, being an artist, he didn't have any interest in agreement documents. The accountant admitted that he had entered John's office to have some documents signed. But once he noticed there was no one inside, he immediately left. Who took the folder with the agreement? It was the designer. John never mentioned which folder was gone. How would he know that the missing folder had an agreement inside? Eric wears either only black or only white socks. One morning, he was in a hurry getting ready for an important meeting with new partners. Suddenly, the power goes out. The guy has 10 white and 10 black socks in his drawer, but all of them are mixed. He doesn't want to look silly at work wearing different socks. If it's completely dark in the room and Eric can't see anything, how many socks should he pull out of the drawer to get himself two matching ones? Three socks are more than enough. In a set of 3 socks, he's bound to have 2 of the same color. A hungry vampire is following you in a lonely street one dark night. Suddenly, you see a house with its door wide open and decide to hide there. The vampire can't enter your shelter since you locked the door in the nick of time, but it's waiting for you outside. However, you still have some hope. There are 3 doors leading out of the house. When you open the first door, there's molten lava. No thanks. The second door leads to the room with tarantulas as large as your head. Yikes. As for the third door, you can definitely hear a huge dog barking inside that room, and you're kind of afraid of it. What should you do? Just wait till morning. Vampires can't stand daylight, and your pursuer will have to leave you alone. You're trapped in a room that's slowly getting filled with water coming from a faucet on the wall. There are no windows in the room, and the door is sealed shut. You have a mop and a big bucket. So how are you going to get yourself out of this one? Come on, just turn the faucet off. Now it's better." Jane told her boss someone had taken the document she prepared for the meeting. She added that she had noticed someone come in wearing a smart suit, gloves, and a black mask, safety first. This person also had 3 rings on their fingers. The boss didn't believe her. Why? She said the person was wearing gloves. Then how did she see 3 rings on their fingers? Jane must have simply forgotten to print those documents out. A hotel owner was visiting the construction site to see the progress. He wanted to start welcoming the guests as soon as possible and had big plans. At some point, he left his briefcase with important documents on the table. Some worker grabbed it and ran away. The hotel owner didn't see who it was, but he immediately called the police. There were 3 suspects. The architect said he had been talking on the phone, trying to get electricity for the site as there was none. The designer told the police he had been trying to find the best paint for the walls. The electrician explained he had been down in the basement trying to fix a burst light bulb. The detectives figure out who was lying. Can you? It was the electrician. How could he fix the burst light bulb if there was no electricity at the construction site at all? Ah, liar, liar, pants on fire. A super wealthy businessman, Mr. Carl Jenkins, has been taken and left locked up all alone in a dark room. His phone's almost run out of charge, so he can only write one message. He knows that someone might spy on his phone, so he decided to write a message with a code to a high school friend, John Smith, who runs a detective agency. He remembered that in high school, they would cipher messages to each other, so he used the same technique. The message was this. Can you guess what it means? Back in high school, they would shift one letter to the right each time they needed to write a secret code. To decipher it, you need to go one letter to the left. Their alphabet looks like this. The message is, "It was Eric." Having read the message, John knew immediately who his friend was talking about. Eric is the financial director of Carl's company. He had seen him once at a party a couple of years ago, so he knew what he looked like. John decided to investigate this case himself and help his friend out. He was sure there was something secret in Carl's mansion. Somehow he thought he knew that Eric would have the key to the mansion. The receptionist, Kelly, said he would always have lunch with different business partners at 2 p.m. sharp in his favorite cafe. When the detective drove up to the cafe, he saw Eric, the man with a beard, discussing business with someone. Either of them had a briefcase next to them, and the briefcases looked similar to each other. John was waiting for Eric and the second guy to leave the cafe. They went to the car, got in, and left both briefcases on the back seat. The detective followed them. They left the car in a parking lot, and luckily, they were careless enough to leave the car open. Which briefcase should the detective grab? The one that looks brand new. While they were walking to the car, the detective spotted a few scratches on the second man's briefcase. Both briefcases were locked with a cipher. Not to make the whole thing suspicious, the detective decided not to take it and cracked the code right in the car. Can you help him open the briefcase? The code is 000. The briefcase is brand new, and Eric probably didn't have time to set a code on it yet. Plus, Eric's the one who leaves the car open and unattended in a parking lot, so no wonder he uses a default code for his briefcase. Now that the detective has the key, he heads to the mansion. The front door isn't a problem with the key in hand. The study is upstairs. He's been there before, so he remembers the stairs leading up have a secret. If you step on the wrong stair, you'll instantly fall to the basement and won't be able to escape from it yourself. What step should John mind? It's the one with the slit in the middle. When you step on it, it opens and you get into a dark room with bats and spiders. Yikes! Alright, John is finally at the study door, and Carl would always use buttons to open it. You've got only one try. There are 3 buttons, yellow, green, and blue. Which one should the detective choose if he knows that Carl is a big fan of painting? A combination of blue and yellow gives green, so the door opens. Green light for our detective. He finally reaches the safe with top-secret documents that could help him find out the truth. Obviously, just like any other safe, it's locked with a code. It also has a warning. You can enter the code only once. If you hit the wrong code, the safe locks up forever. He's looking around for a hint, and voila! John is right. On the desk, he sees a note. It says, "Secret code," and has a combination of 3 digits, 3, something, and 1. The digit in the middle can't be seen since there's an ink stain right on it. Can you crack the code with one attempt only? The code is 371. The detective thought the code was used frequently, so the button must have been a bit worn out. He was right. Since he knew the beginning and the end, he only needed to find one more worn button. Alright, now he's got the top-secret documents he needed for his investigation. He looks through all the papers and finally finds something that looks like the document he actually needed. To take it as a hard proof, he needs to find one which is not fake. There are 4 copies. They look almost the same, but only one is real. Can you guess which one? It's the one in the upper left corner. It has a stamp, a signature, and it says agreement. The one next to it looks the same, but it has a spelling mistake. It says agreement. Other copies lack either a stamp or a signature. So the detective takes a closer look at this agreement and sees something about a painting bought in an auction. He suddenly understands that his friend Carl was taken so that someone could sneak into his mansion and grab that super expensive painting. He's looking at the wall with all the paintings Carl collected and realizes that no painting is missing. There are as many nails in the wall as there are paintings. Still, there's something strange about one of them. Can you spot what's wrong here? Even though all the paintings are present, there's one that lacks a frame. According to the agreement, the painting has been recently bought, and an art dealer helped Carl pick it. The expert was an honest man, and he helped Carl make sure all the other paintings in his collection were real. This time, the painting turned out to be nothing but a copy. Why did the expert suggest that Carl buy it? Although the painting cost nothing, its frame was a beautiful and expensive piece of art. The one who grabbed it definitely knew that. Now it's all clear. John has to find both Carl and the precious frame. He goes outside, trying to deduce where the person who took Carl went. Carl is looking at all the tracks on the ground. He needs to follow one of them to understand where to look for Carl. Where should he go? He's got to follow the tracks going to the left. There are 3 sets of tracks here. The first belonged to John's car. The second set belongs to a two-wheel vehicle, and since the tracks are really thin, they were left by a bike. It seems impossible to take someone somewhere on a bike, so these must belong to a mail carrier who comes every day to bring the letters. The last set of tracks definitely belongs to a large car, so John should follow it. He's lucky and there are no turns, so he's just going straight. Half an hour later, he sees something like a castle. He drives up to it and he sees 3 moats in front of him. Here's the first one, a row full of metal stakes. How can John jump over it safely? There's a small hot air balloon nearby. John has to untie it and light the lamp to take off. Since the next moat is on fire, John thinks it's unsafe to fly over it because the air balloon doesn't fly high enough and the lamp doesn't have enough oil to go on for long. Still, he managed to cross the moat with fire easily. How did he do it? He took the sand from the air balloon's ballast and sprinkled it on the fire, extinguishing it. The last moat was filled with scalding hot lava. It took John some time to figure out how to cross it, but he managed to do it safely. How? There were a lot of stones around him. The lava torrent wasn't deep at all, so throwing stones at it, he made a tiny path to hop on. The castle was rather small inside, so the hardest thing was to actually get into it. When he entered the hall, John saw 3 doors. Above the doors, there was a sign. It said, "One of the doors leads to a labyrinth no one ever escaped. One of the doors is the exit. If you enter it, you'll have to cross all the 3 moats all over again. One of the doors has what you're looking for." When John looked at the doors, he knew immediately where his friend was. Which door did he choose? The handles were made of shiny metal, which looks cool but gathers all the fingerprints. The only door with fingerprints is the one on the left. John opens the door and sees his friend. Carl rushes out of that dark room, and while heading to the exit, they spot a few frames. Which one is Carl's? The rectangular one. The painting was rectangular, and the 2 other frames are square. The 2 friends get out of the castle, get in the car, and head to the police department. There, an officer's waiting for them. They have 3 suspects who could have possibly taken the exquisite frame. Carl and John enter the room separately. Still, they choose the same person. Who did they choose? The man on the right. Carl chooses him because it's the art expert. John chooses him because he saw him with Carl having lunch. Wow, seems like this expert's not going to work with Carl ever again. So Charles found himself locked in a small room. He didn't know what had happened. Just then, he saw a door. He approached it and tried to open it, but it was locked. There were 3 buttons. On one button, there was a circle. On the second one, a triangle. On the third, a square. Charles didn't know which one would unlock the door. Luckily, though, there was a note. It said 1248. Which button should he press to get out? You might have noticed that there's a clock right above the door. It's there for a reason. If you draw lines connecting 12, 4, and 8, you get a triangle. So Charles should press the button with the triangle on it. Esme was having a regular walk in the forest and got lost. She wandered around all night in the dark. Just after sunrise, she came upon a witch's house. She had nowhere else to go, so she walked in and asked the witch to send her home. The witch agreed, but it wasn't going to be that easy. 3 magical doors appeared, and Esme had to decide which one to go through. Behind the first door, nothing but a deep pit. Behind the second door was a shower of toxic liquid. Behind the third door was an open space with a vampire waiting for her. Which way should Esme go? Well, it's already past sunrise. The vampire would be gone already, hiding out somewhere dark. Esme should pick the third door. Maybe Esme could have just jumped over the pit. What do you think? Take a look at these pictures. Which blogger is richer? The second one. Look at the number of likes. She has 17,000, but the first one only has 7,000. One of Mr. Smith's sons, Jaden, was taken. Several hours later, Mr. Smith and his younger son David received a letter. The letter stated that if they wanted to see Jaden again, they should round up $1 million cash and take it to a little shack in the woods. Mr. Smith and David decided to do it, and David took the money into the woods alone. But it didn't go as planned. David said that halfway to the shack, someone approached him from behind, hit him, and stole the money. There was an investigation, and a detective asked David what the robber looked like. David said that he had dark hair and a red hoodie with a black logo on it. The detective immediately figured out who had taken Jaden. Can you? It was David. He said the robber approached him from behind, but somehow he still managed to remember some pretty specific details about the robber. Nah, he made it all up. Abigail wanted to buy her mom the best birthday present ever. The problem was she had 0 ideas. She decided to sneak into her mom's computer, go to her online shopping cart, and see what she had saved in there. When her mom left for work, Abigail sneaked into her home office and turned on the computer. Uh-oh, it required a password, and Abigail didn't know it. There was a sticky note attached to the keyboard. It was a clue. 1 apple, 2 orange, 2 kiwi, 1 lemon. Can you guess the password? Each number represents 1 letter of the word. A apple means the first letter, so A. Then we get P, R, I, and L. The password is April. Wow, her mom is really into fruit. A lady was shopping and left the store right after paying. A couple of minutes later, she returned. She had forgotten her wallet at the checkout counter. But the wallet was already gone. She called the police and reported the robbery. A detective interrogated the people who were in the store at the time. Sophia, the cashier, said she didn't see the wallet after the lady paid. Robert, a pilot who happened to be shopping there, said he didn't even see the wallet. He didn't have his glasses on. Mark, a landscaper, said he was in a different part of the store, so he didn't see anything. So, who stole the wallet? It was Robert, the pilot. He looks pretty blind without his glasses, so he's definitely not a pilot. Why would he lie about that? Unless… Amelia's brother, Neil, was a crazy scientist. In the past year, he'd been working on a time machine. One day, he ran into Amelia's room and screamed. He'd done it! He'd invented a time machine, and it totally worked. He said he had already tested it. He managed to talk to William Shakespeare, Princess Diana, and Sherlock Holmes. Amelia didn't believe him at all. Why was she so sure about it? Even if Neil had actually invented a time machine, he'd only have been able to talk to people who actually existed in real life. He said he talked to Sherlock Holmes. That guy's a character from a book and a TV show and a movie. Hey, that guy's everywhere. A woman called the police and reported that she had been robbed. She said she was in a restaurant bathroom fixing her makeup. Someone had come up from behind and hit her on the head, so she didn't know what the person looked like. The police sent her home and refused to fill out the report. Why? The woman was fixing her makeup, so she must have been looking in the mirror. She would have definitely seen someone sneaking up behind her. She lied and made up the whole story. Grab your detective hat and head over to Europe for this next one. Bill was traveling from Paris to Berlin by train. When the train got to Berlin, Bill wasn't on it. His friend reported him missing. The investigation began, and somewhere between Paris and Berlin, they found some interesting clues. There were footsteps that belonged to Bill, and a few feet away, his luggage. A detective found the person who had been sitting next to Bill on the train. His name was Sam. He said that Bill didn't have a ticket. When he saw the ticket inspector coming, he decided to make a run for it. He threw his suitcase off the train and then jumped. The detective didn't believe his story and arrested Sam for pushing Bill off the train. Why? Look at the direction the train was going. If Sam's story was true, the suitcase should be behind Bill's footsteps, not in front. Sam pushed Bill off the train, then threw his luggage off after. Mrs. Anderson came home from work in the middle of the day because she'd forgotten some important documents. When she went to the bedroom, she saw her husband lying on the bed. There was a paramedic beside him. Mr. Anderson was unconscious, and the doctor explained that he had been poisoned. Luckily, he had had time to call a paramedic before passing out. Mrs. Anderson immediately blocked off the door and called the police. She said there was a fake paramedic in her house who had poisoned her husband. How did she know? You might have noticed that when Mrs. Anderson arrived, there was no ambulance in the driveway. That's super suspicious. William was hit on the head and taken away. When he woke up, he found himself locked in a small room. He tried to open the door, but obviously it was locked. There was nothing in the room except for a wooden box with 12 bottles in it. There was an extra bottle on the floor next to it. William looked everywhere for the key but found nothing. After a bit of thinking, he noticed something. He managed to find the key. Where was it? Look at the bottle on the floor. It's exactly the same as the others, but for some reason, it's a bit lower. There must be a fake floor in the box. That's where the key is. Several women went missing in a small city. The police searched for months, but they couldn't find any trace of them. One day, a detective got lucky. He saw a hooded figure who matched their description, followed it, and found the place where they were being kept hostage. But when he busted in, there were just 3 women. They all said that they had been locked in this small room, but the detective knew that one of them wasn't a victim at all. The first woman said her name was Emery. She had spent around a year in that room. The second woman, Aria, said she had been there about 6 months. The third woman said her name was Brielle and that she had been locked up in there for about 2 months. Can you tell who's lying? Emery's lying. Look at her hair. She just had it dyed, but she's been there a year. Aria's hair is also dyed, but you can see her natural dark roots growing out. After years in college, Stephen came back to his hometown. He met up with a couple of his old friends, Dylan and Harry. Both of them said they're successful bloggers now. To prove it, they showed him screenshots from their most popular videos. Steve took a look at them and could tell that one of his friends was lying. Who's lying and how did Steve know? Harry's lying. The number of views for his video is 2.1 million, but the number of likes is way higher, 4.5 million. That's impossible, or at least really, really suspicious. Harry probably photoshopped that screenshot. Uh-huh. You ready? Here's another brain-busting workout for you. And off we go. After classes, Margot was studying in the library. At one point, she left for the bathroom. When the girl returned, she found out her wallet was gone. Margot immediately called the police. The librarian said she'd seen some guy, but she had poor eyesight and couldn't remember what he looked like. After listening to her vague description, the police officers questioned 3 students. Owen said he had been studying and hadn't even left his desk until the police arrived. Finn said he'd seen the girl but never really paid attention to her. He was looking for some books. Lucas said he'd been busy talking to his friend on the phone. He hadn't seen anything. Can you figure out who stole the wallet? It was Luca. He said he'd been talking on the phone, but it's prohibited in the library. If he had used his phone, he'd have been immediately kicked out. So, he's lying. During a casual walk deep in the forest, Esme got lost. After hours of wandering, she saw a witch's house. Esme asked the elderly woman to show her the way back. The witch refused, but she was in a good mood and offered a deal. She gave Esme 3 apples. 2 of them were poisoned and 1 was okay to eat. The girl had to pick 1 apple and bite into it. If she didn't get poisoned, the witch would show her the way home. Esme was a smart girl and managed to do it. How did she know which apple to pick? In 1 apple, there was a worm, which means it was safe to eat. A student was having an exam and he was about to fail it. The professor decided to give him 1 more chance and asked the last question. It was, "What's my oldest daughter's name?" The student was puzzled. The professor decided the question was too hard and gave the guy a hint. He wrote down 3 numbers, 58, 3, and 11. Can you help the student answer the question? It's a chemistry class. The riddle must be related to this subject. Have a look at the periodic table. The 58th element is cerium, or Ce. The 3rd element is lithium, Li. And the 11th element is sodium, or Na. If you put all of them together, you'll get the name Selena. The professor liked the game. When another student was struggling with his task, he gave him another puzzle. The man said, "I have daughters. All of them, except 2, have dark hair. All of them, except 2, have blonde hair. And all of them, except 2, have red hair. How many daughters do I have?" Can you help the student out? This time, the riddle has nothing to do with chemistry. Pure logic. The professor has 3 daughters. 1 of them has dark hair, the second is blonde, and the 3rd daughter has red hair. Ben was walking in the park at night when someone knocked him out and stole all his stuff. The guy went to the police. 3 people, Cole, Jerry, and Bernard, were in the park at that time. They got arrested. The detective gave each of them a marker and asked them to write their names on the whiteboard. As soon as they finished, he immediately arrested the right person. Who was guilty, and how did the detective find it out? It was Jerry. Ben was hit from the right. It means the person who did it was left-handed. Among the 3 suspects, that's only Jerry. Really? Ben and Jerry? I think I need some ice cream. A member of an expedition to the South Pole found himself in a frozen cave. He didn't remember what had happened, but he knew he had to get out. The man saw 3 doors and a note saying what was behind each of them. Behind the first door, there was a hungry polar bear. Behind the second door, there was a room filled with poisonous gas. And behind the third, There was a room with sharp icicles falling from the ceiling every second. Which door should the man choose to survive? He should pick the first door. He's at the South Pole. There are no polar bears there. After classes, Nora stayed at the university. She needed to finish her project. She was sitting in the hallway. Soon she got hungry. The girl went to grab some food and left all her stuff behind. When Nora returned, she checked her things and called the police. She told them what had happened and reported her wallet stolen. There were 3 other students nearby. All of them were questioned. Kennedy said she had been texting her friends. Ethan said, "I did sit close to Nora for a while, but I didn't see or touch her wallet." Gabriella said she had been in the classroom and just walked out a couple minutes before. The detective listened to them and left without arresting anyone. Why? The detective remembered that Nora had gone to get some food. It means the wallet was with her and couldn't be stolen. The girl lied. 3 women, Sarah, Milla, and Eleanor, went shopping. 2 of them are pregnant, and 1 is a professional watermelon thief. Yeah, I know, but just humor me. Can you tell which one stole the watermelon? It's Milla. She's wearing heels. It's not the kind of shoes pregnant women would wear. Aurora was spending her summer in the countryside. She often took long walks in the forest alone. One day, she saw a huge mansion. It was obvious no one lived there, so she entered the house. It was dusty inside, but still beautiful. Aurora took some pictures and left the place. When the girl came back home, she looked through her photos. She wanted to pick the best ones to post on her social media, but then she saw one of the photos and screamed. Take a careful look at this photo. Can you see what scared her so much? Aurora noticed she, herself, was in the photo. But it's impossible. She was alone in the house. Stella and Adeline were sisters. Their grandmother once presented Adeline a bracelet. But both girls loved this piece of jewelry very much. So sometimes Stella snuck into her sister's room and borrowed the bracelet. One day, Adeline came home and noticed the bracelet was gone. She knocked on her sister's door. Stella opened the door, realized it was her sister, and shut it again. In a couple of minutes, Adeline managed to break into the room. She started searching for the bracelet. Stella told her that this time she hadn't taken Adeline's jewelry. Adeline didn't find anything and had to leave. But on her way out, she remembered something and managed to get her bracelet back. Where was it? When Stella opened the door, she had her hair down. But later, she already had her hair tied up. In those few minutes, she made a bun and hid the bracelet in her hair. On a rainy summer night, Mrs. Miller came home after work. Her neighbor, Mrs. Smith, visited her. The women wanted to have some tea together. Mrs. Smith said her daughter was at a party. She met one of Mrs. Miller's triplet sons there. Mrs. Miller asked which one it was, but her friend didn't know. Her daughter could never tell the guys apart. The problem was all 3 of them were grounded and weren't allowed to go out until the next week. Mrs. Miller wanted to find out who had broken the rules. She called the boys and asked how they'd spent the day. Ian, the artist, said, "In the evening, I was outside drawing." Ryan, the musician, said, "I spent all day inside writing a new song." Luke, who likes sports, said, "I did a workout and spent the rest of the day reading." Mrs. Miller understood which of her sons was lying and grounded him for another month. Who's the liar, and how did she know? Ian lied. He said he'd been drawing outside, but it was raining. Another day, another walk in the forest, and Esme got lost again. And still, she managed to find the way to the witch's house. This time, the woman had another task for Esme. The witch gave Esme a candy bar and a knife. She was going to perform 7 tricks. After each of them, Esme had to give her 1/7 of the bar. But there was a catch. The knife was magical and could only make 2 cuts. It was also impossible to break the bar or cut it without the knife. How did Esme fulfill these conditions and return home? Esme made 2 cuts, dividing the bar into the following pieces: 1/7, 2/7, and 4/7. After the first trick, she gave the witch the 1/7 piece. After the second one, the girl offered the woman the 2/7 piece and took away the 1/7. After the third trick, she gave the witch the smallest piece back. After the fourth trick, Esme took away the first 2 pieces and gave the woman the 4/7 piece. Then she gave her the smallest piece again. After the sixth trick, the girl took away the 1/7 and gave the witch the 2/7 piece. And after the last trick, she gave the woman the smallest part of the bar again. Bonus question. Hey, if Esme is so smart, how come she keeps getting trapped in the forest? I have no answer.
You go to a swimming pool once a week, and today's the day, but everything suddenly goes wrong. As soon as you enter the swimming pool, you look at the TV in the hall. Breaking news! Someone spotted a zombie in town. They probably went downtown, and they may be anywhere. If you see one, call the police immediately. You think it's probably safer to stay in the swimming pool. Zombies are slow and probably aren't good at swimming. So you go to the shower to change, but as soon as you enter the shower room, you notice that something's off. Who's a zombie? The 2 girls seem completely fine, but there's a bandage on the man's leg. No one would go to a swimming pool if they had cuts or scratches, unless they're a zombie. Once upon a time, there was a wealthy king who hired an artist to paint his portrait. The artist told the king that he wanted to be paid in gold, and he wanted to get paid every day. He also said it would take him 7 days to finish the painting. The wealthy king had only large bars of gold, and he wanted to give 1 bar for his work. But since the artist wanted to get paid daily, he needed to come up with a plan. He had a magic tool that could cut any material, but it was able to make only 2 cuts. How did the king split the gold bar so that the artist got his gold every single day in equal amounts? The king was really smart, so he cut the bars this way: 1/7, 2/7, and 4/7. The first day, he gave the artist 1/7 of the gold bar. The second day, he gave him 2/7, but took 1/7 back as change. The third day, he gave 1/7 back. The fourth day, he gave 4/7, but took the other 2 pieces back as change. The fifth day, he gave 1/7, so the artist got 5/7 of the bar. The sixth day, he gave 2/7, but took 1/7 back again. And the very last day, the artist got 1/7, so in the end, he had a full bar of gold. 4 friends, Josh, Maggie, Jason, and Rosie, were walking in the woods. It was a wonderful day, and they were about to start a picnic. But all of a sudden, the sun turned to black and they saw dozens of zombies approaching them. The friends started running away and saw a tunnel. It was dark and scary, but the guys knew exactly that when they crossed it, they'd be safe. They had only 12 minutes to cross the tunnel. It takes Josh 1 minute to cross it. Jason can do it in 2 minutes. Maggie thinks it will take her 4 minutes, and Rosie can cross it in 5 minutes. Not to risk it, the guys decided to split into 2 groups. The problem is that they only have 1 torchlight, and there's no way they go there in 4. How can they escape? First, Josh and Jason should cross it with a torchlight while the girls are waiting on the other side. It takes 2 minutes, plus 1 minute for Josh to go back. They still have 9 minutes. Josh hands the torchlight to the girls, and they cross the tunnel in 5 minutes. 4 minutes left. When the girls are on the other side, they give the torchlight to Jason, who comes back to take Josh in 2 minutes, and they run back together in another 2 minutes. The airport security had an emergency alert. There's a man with fake documents trying to fly away from New York. They had 3 suspects who look almost the same. Which passport is fake? No matter what country a person is from, no passport can have a photo with mountains in the background. All backgrounds should be solid. John's passport has a suspicious photo in it. His documents are fake. Mason is a lifeguard. One day, a girl came up to him asking for help. She said someone had stolen her wallet, which she noticed when she was going to go and grab a soda pop. Mason checked the towel where the girl left her stuff, but the only thing he noticed were her own footprints. Is this girl lying to Mason? The girl was telling the truth. Mason had an eagle eye, and he saw a guy with a fishing rod. He must have stolen the girl's wallet. No one wants to go fish in the public beach. Robbers stole a few precious gems the other day. The police were alerted immediately, but they didn't know where to look for the thieves. Suddenly, they got an anonymous email. Check all the bottles in the cars leaving the town. Best regards, Mr. X. At the end of the day, the officers stopped a car loaded with boxes and bottled water. The bottle bottoms were all covered with paint, so they thought the gems should be in one of them. The level of water was the same in all the bottles, but when one of the officers placed one of them right next to the box, he instantly realized something was off. What was it? The bottle standing next to the box is much lower than those still inside. The police then found there was a double bottom and the gems were hidden right underneath it. 2 friends, Martin and Clyde, had a bet. Martin said he would throw a ball and it would come back to him. He also said there would be no obstacle or wall the ball could ricochet from. Clyde said it was impossible, and he lost. How's that? Martin threw the ball straight up. It obviously came back to him. No magic, just physics. Emily grabbed a really nice muffin at the cafeteria and put it on the office desk. She wanted to save it for later, but when she came back from the meeting, she saw someone had eaten her muffin. There were only 3 people who could do that, and only one person is telling the truth. Grace said it was Alicia. Alicia said she didn't eat anything. Tina says she didn't eat anything either. Who ate the muffin? It was Tina. Only one person is telling the truth, and it's Alicia. If Grace or Tina told the truth, then there would be 2 truthful people, but Emily knew only one person wasn't lying. Patrick really wanted to come to a private party, but the security would ask each person if they knew the secret access code. Patrick decided to overhear their conversations. When the person came up to the entrance, the security said 6, and the guest said 3. Then the security said 10 to the second visitor, and the reply was 3 as well. The third visitor also said 3, but the security said 2. Patrick thought he was ready to join the best party in town. When he came up to the entrance, the guard said 7, and Patrick replied 3. The security didn't let him in. What should Patrick have said to get into that fancy party? He should have said 5. The guest needed to count letters. 6, 10, and 2 have 3 letters. That's why the answer was 3. In the word 7, there are 5 letters. Ben loved diamonds. For some time, he would spend $5,000 a day on precious stones. At some point, he realized he had too many gems, so he started selling them at $3,000 a piece. Sometime later, he became a millionaire. How is that possible if he was obviously losing money? Before his gem rush, Ben used to be a billionaire. Since he started losing money, he became only a millionaire. A vampire moved to a big city where nobody knew him to start a brand new life. Still, he just couldn't help it and started biting locals every single night. People People got scared and invited a private investigator to solve the problem. A couple of days later, Detective Reitman had 3 suspects. He decided to visit each of them to find out who the vampire was. After visiting all the houses, he was sure he found the vampire. Who was it? Well, the man on the left has loads of garlic in the kitchen, and vampires are scared of it. The second suspect had a lot of silver-plated accessories, earrings, piercings, and a chain. Vampires don't really like silver. The guy in the blue shirt is a vampire. Long ago, in the kingdom of Riddles, a criminal was caught. The guards took him to the king, who was famous for loving riddles. King Archibald said that if Harry, the criminal, managed to solve his riddle, he would set him free. Harry agreed, and Archibald drew a 2-foot line on the ground with his foot. The king asked Harry to make this line 2 times shorter without touching it. In the end, Harry was free. What did he do? Harry drew a 4-foot line with his foot, so that the one the king drew got 2 times shorter. Karen took part in a TV quiz where she could win 1 pound of pure gold. This quiz wasn't like ordinary ones. At the end of the show, the host brought her 3 large jars. Each of them has 1 pound of pure gold inside, plus some unpleasant surprise. The first jar has venomous snakes inside, the second one is full of acid, and the third one is filled with boiling hot water. Karen can only use her hands to get the gold out of the jars. She has 30 minutes to think. Which one should she choose? Karen should choose the one with hot water. It cools down pretty fast, and it's gonna get lukewarm in half an hour. Guess who's rich now?
Ever was having a birthday party. At one point, she noticed that her twin brother Noah went to his room with some girl. Ever wanted to take a closer look, but her friend distracted her. When she returned, the couple had already been gone. She had 3 suspects, Eliza, Jane, and Isla. When Ever went downstairs, she immediately realized which girl her brother was dating. Can you figure it out too? Eliza isn't wearing her cardigan. Ever saw it in Noah's room, hanging from the chair. So it must have been her who was in the room with the guy. Serafina was having a birthday party, and her guests brought her presents. Her boyfriend, Mason, got her a pair of beautiful high heels. Her sister, Daphne, got her earrings, and her best friend, Ada, got her a scarf. All the gifts were amazing, but Serafina still had one person to change their present. Who messed up? Mason. Look, both shoes are left ones. Esme got lost in the forest. After wandering around for hours, she finally came across the witch's house. She pet the cat and gave it its favorite snacks. After that, the girl asked the witch if she could help her again. The witch was packing. She was planning to go fishing the next day, but she had a problem. Her fishing rod was 13 feet long, and the transport company the witch was going to use only allowed to take things that were no longer than 12 feet. The witch couldn't figure out what to do and asked Esme to help. If she could find some solution, the witch would help her get home. Esme found a way to pack the fishing rod without breaking it or breaking any rules. What did she offer? The witch should pack the rod in a box the size 5 by 12 feet. Diagonally, the 13-foot-long fishing rod will fit perfectly, and the box will still only be 12 feet long. Ren came back from work and checked his mailbox. There were a couple of magazines and a letter. It turned out to be a love letter, but it wasn't signed. Instead, there were several numbers in the end. 18, 9, 12, 5, 25. Can you guess who sent Ren the letter? Each number indicates the position of the corresponding letter in the alphabet. The 18th letter is R. Letter number 9 is I. And letter number 12 is L. The 5th letter is E. and the 25th one is why. So, Ren's secret admirer is Riley. It was the first day of college. Lily came there with her new cell phone, which she, of course, showed to all her friends. At one point, the girl went to the bathroom and left the phone on her desk. When she returned, the gadget was gone. She asked everyone in the class what they had been doing while she had been away. Cleo said she had been talking on the phone with her best friend. Charles said he hadn't been doing anything, just listening to music. Jake said that he'd been busy finishing his homework. That was enough for Lily to understand who had stolen her cell phone. Can you guess? Jake said he had been finishing his homework, but it's the first day of college. There can't be any homework. Vivian and Susanna are online influencers. Can you tell which one is likely richer? Pay attention to the number of followers each of them has. It looks like Susanna has way more people watching, so she probably gets more sponsorships. The police had been looking for Alex for months. They got the information he went to Cuba. That's what he told all his friends. But then he was accidentally found in Norway. The police know his girlfriend helps him, but they aren't sure who his girlfriend is. They ask Alex's friends who the guy is dating. But all of them name different girls, and all the girls deny being his girlfriend. Then, the police decide to check the messages the girls sent to Alex. Take a look at these texts and try to understand who his real girlfriend is. His girlfriend must be the one who knew where he was actually going. Looks like all the girls stay in touch with Alex, but the snowflake in Layla's text looks suspicious. You don't send snowflakes to people who go to Cuba, so Layla must be Alex's girlfriend and his accomplice. Take a look at the picture. Can you crack this puzzle? The answer is the number of times the line crossed in the image. It must be 3. Sierra found herself locked in a dungeon. She couldn't remember what had happened. She looked around and saw a door that could be a way out. But to open it, Sierra needed to know the passcode. Luckily, there was a hint. Sierra had just one try. If her guess was wrong, the dungeon would get locked forever. Can you help the girl decide which password is the correct one? If you take a closer look, you may notice that some of the digits are faded. This is probably because they were the most frequently used. These digits are 1, 3, 5, and 9. The only code that has all of them is the second one, 3915. That must be the one. Mrs. Darcy is a mother of 3 teenagers. Late at night, she was sleeping in her room when she heard some scratching, then the sound of the window closing. She realized that one of her children was trying to get inside or sneak out of the house. Take a look at Susie, Brittany, and Celeste's rooms. Can you tell which girl sneaks out at night? It must be Brittany. Look at the shoes by the door. They're all wet, so she must have just returned. A rich lady, Mrs. DeRavin, was looking for a nanny for her dogs. She invited 3 candidates and asked them why they wanted the job. Isla said that she was totally broke and she needed some money. Olivia said that she loved dogs, but her parents wouldn't let her have one. Liam said he had a lot of free time and thought of getting a job. Mrs. DeRavin let everyone go so she could think and make the final decision. After all of them had left, the woman discovered that her very expensive ring was missing. One of the candidates had probably stolen it. She asked them to come again, and when the woman saw them for the second time, she knew exactly who the thief was. Have you figured it out? It was Isla. Last time she said she was broke, but look at her now. She's wearing new designer clothes and gold earrings. She also has an expensive phone. She must have stolen the ring and sold it. A young girl, Georgia, got poisoned and was taken to a hospital. Detective Callum took up the case. He went to visit Maddox, Georgia's sister's boyfriend. Maddox hadn't heard the news yet. Your girlfriend's sister got poisoned. Do you know anything that could help the investigation? Maddox said, Poor Georgia, she's a good girl. I have no idea who could possibly want to poison her. The guy also showed the detective a picture of him, his girlfriend, and her sisters. After taking a look at the photo, Detective Callum immediately arrested Maddox for poisoning the girl. Why? In the picture, there are 4 girls. This means Maddox's girlfriend has 3 sisters. Then how did the guy know which one had been poisoned? Lyra met 2 guys online. The girl was trying to decide who she should go on a date with. Asher said he loved summer sports. He even played hockey professionally. Oliver said that he played basketball. He was on the state's basketball team. Lyra figured out that one of the guys was lying, so she chose the other one. Can you tell who's lying? It's Asher. He said that he likes summer sports, but hockey isn't a summer sport. The guy would know it if he really played it. Once a company owner returned to his office and realized someone had been there and used his computer. Of course, no one but him was allowed to use it. He walked out of the office, looked at his workers, and immediately realized who had done it. Who was it, and how did the man know? It must be this woman in the middle. Take a look at the director's office again. The mouse is on the left side of the computer. It means the person who broke into the office was left-handed. The woman's left hand is covered in ink. That's because she's left-handed and slides her hand over her writings. Kai broke into his music teacher's office. He wanted to print out the answers for the next day's test, but the computer required a password. Luckily, there was a post-it note that said 4361. Can you guess the password? Take a look at the wall. There is a list of music notes hanging there, but you need the letters. Now, the 4th one is F, the 3rd one is E, the 6th is A, and the 1st one is C. The password must be FEAC.
Get your eagle eyes ready for detail spotting, because this logo quiz will put your observation skills to the test. Amazon sells everything from A to Z, but which of these logos was printed on your last delivery package? Yep, Amazon keeps its Z the same color. Which way does Dunkin' Donuts coffee cup lead? Away from the words. Hey, good to know. We all use Google every day, but do you recognize its real logo? It's the one on the left. Subway or Subway? This Subway. When I eat chips, I don't pay close attention to the logo on the bag. Do you? The real Lay's logo is this one. This one is subtle. Can you spot the difference? Adobe's logo actually looks like this one. Are you a space fiend? Can you pick out NASA's real logo? The answer is the one on the left. This brand makes cold, creamy treats. Which one of these logos is correct? The heart faces this way. Do you have the energy to figure this one out? You betcha! Monster's logo is this one. Now, look closely. Can you distinguish the real shape of Pizza Hut's logo from the fake one? This one is the real deal. Does the eBay logo start with red or blue? If you got that one right, I know you'll always get the best deals online. Starbright, Starlight, which amount of stars is correct? The one and only. Which of these nests belongs to Nestle? Ah, Mama Bird is on the right. Do you have the Intel on Intel's logo? Exactly, it's on the left. LG's logo looks like a face, but how many eyes does it have? Ah, just one. You know this one. It's where you watch all your favorite channels. Brightside. Yep, I knew you'd get this one. Nay, or more like vroom vroom. Which one is Ferrari's logo? Right on, it's on the right. Speaking of driving, how well do you know Drive's logo? The answer is on the left. Are you a coffee or tea person? Coffee lovers, this one's for you. It's the one on the left. What position is correct for the S in the M&M's logo? Yeah, the one on the right just looks better, doesn't it? Dell's slanted E sure has a lot of character, but which way does it droop? It's doing a trust fall with its best friend, the letter D. How often do you eat Doritos? If you got this one right, they must be your favorite. Sprite is lemon-lime flavored, or is it lime-lemon? You tell me. Lemon-lime, so the answer is the logo on the left. Can you tell which of these is the way that Frito's logo is actually angled? Spot on, it's on the right. Pringles' mustache mascot looks like, this one. Which of these Cheetos logos is the big cheese? Exactly. If the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, and the wind is blowing from the northwest, then which of these is SunChip's real logo? This one, of course. Ready for round 2? Can you name these brands from these simplified designs? First one. Can you make out what these shapes actually are? Here's a hint. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. It's Star Wars. These circles aren't just circles. They look like a cute panda. This panda belongs to the World Wildlife Foundation. Orange circles and pink circles. What could that mean? Dunkin' Donuts! Now that I think about it, I could go for a donut right about now. I won't lie, this one just looks like circles to me. Can you see what it really is? Oh, it's Kellogg's. I recognize these colors. It's FedEx, of course. What else is blue and orange? These colors are even more iconic. Do you know them? These hallmark shades of red, blue, green, and yellow belong to Microsoft. This circle has a big bite taken out of it. Oh, it's an apple, not a circle. That makes more sense. A big dot and some small dots. They look oddly familiar. Google's logo is distinct, no matter how simplified. This one looks like a cloud, right? Is that a hint? The answer is Skype. This logo is black and white, but it's hard to tell what it is. Did you say Adidas? You'd be right. This one looks really familiar, really familiar. YouTube. Are these dots Morse code? Far from it. They're Facebook's logo. This one could be abstract art. But it's actually just the web browser Firefox. What logo looks like a yellow daisy lying on its side? Walmart. I never noticed that it looked like a flower. Are these two caterpillars in love? Nope, it's the ice cream shop Baskin Robbins. What brand does this complicated emblem belong to? You guessed it, Harley-Davidson. If you love Brightside, I'm sure you'll also love science facts, so you'll know this one. It's National Geographic. You might know this logo from childhood. Yup, it's Lego. I love Lego as a kid. But now that I'm older, I don't want Lego. I want one of these. A Ferrari.
All right, it's time for a personality test. Keep track of your points and check your results at the end of the test. 1. Do you like playing tricks on people? A. Yes, but only my close friends. They know I don't mean it. B. Everyone, all the time. C. Never. I'm afraid to hurt their feelings. D. Only if they play tricks on me. If you picked option A, you just earned 20 points. If you went with B, add 40 points to your basket. Those who chose C earned 10 points, and D is worth 30 points. 2. Which of these animals do you associate yourself with? A. Panther. I'm also posh, fast, and can always protect myself. B. Cute puppy. I wouldn't survive a day without my family. C. Kangaroo. I'm one of a kind, and you can't approach me easily. D. Chameleon. I can fit into any surroundings. All panthers out there get 20 points. Puppies at heart can add 10 points to their score. Kangaroos scored 30, and chameleons get 40 points. 3. If you turned into a superhero, what would you do first? A. Save the world. B. Travel the world. Being a superhero involves flying, right? C. Meet my favorite celebrity. D. Use my superpowers to produce as much money as I've always wanted. Option A brings you 30 points, B is worth 20, C is worth 10 points, and D gives you 40 points. 4. It's your birthday, and your friends surprise you with your dream car. How long will you be happy about it? A week perhaps, until the joy fades away. B. Forever, it's the gift of a lifetime. C. It's no big deal, it takes way more than that to make me happy. D. I won't accept it, it's too much, and they know it. If you picked A, add 20 points to your score. If you went with B, it's worth 10 points. C brings you 40 points, and D, 30 points. 5. What's your favorite kind of weather? A. Beach weather, sunshine, no clouds, and heat. B. I love snow. Playing outside or staying at home on a snowy day makes me happy. C. Rainy weather. The sound of it helps me calm down. D. Extreme weather. Thunderstorms, tornadoes, sandstorms. They make life more exciting. If you prefer sunshine, add 20 points to your basket. Snow fans earn 10 points. Rain fans get 40 points. And those who love extreme weather earn 30 points. 6. What movie would you choose to star in? A. Drama. I know how to play it because, well, I live it. B. Comedy. My sense of humor and irony will help. C. A superhero movie. I even know what my superhero costume will look like. D. I want to star in a detective movie and solve mysteries. Option A brings you 20 points. B is worth 10 points. C brings you 30 points, and D is worth 40 points. 7. How do you feel before an important event? A. Nervous and scared. I don't want to let anyone down. B. Excited. I love to test myself and triumph. C. Calm and focused. That's what helps me always win. D. Useless. I always feel like others are putting more in it. If option A is your choice, you get 10 points. Would you rather go with B? Well, that's worth 30 points. C brings you 40 points, and D is worth 20 points. 8. What activity would you like to exclude from your routine for good? A. Washing, drying, and brushing my hair. It's a waste of time. B. Having to pick my outfits. Let a robot do it for me. C. Cooking. It's definitely not my thing. D. Cleaning. Things turn into a mess again too soon. If option A sounds like the way to go, give yourself 10 points. If B is your choice, you just scored 30 points. In case you went with C, add 40 points to your basket. And finally, D brings you 20 points. 9. Which sense do you rely on the most? A. Smell. I could create my own perfumes. B. Hearing. I can hear someone whisper across the street. C. Sight. They say I have eyes on my back. D. Taste. It has never let me down. If you went for sense of smell, you get 40 points. Those who trust their hearing get 10 points. If you have an eagle eye, award yourself with 20 points. And your sense of taste brings you 30 points. 10. You're arranging a first date with someone you really like. What's it gonna be? A. I'll rent a movie theater or a planetarium just for the two of us. B. I'll cook some fancy food and learn to play some musical instrument. C. I'll take them to an escape room and let them show how smart and brave they are. D. I don't arrange dates. Others try their best to impress me. Option A brings you 10 points. B gives you 30 points. Option C is worth 20 points. If you choose option D, here are your 40 points. 11. What do you do when you're angry? A. Ignore everything and everyone. I need some time to cool down. B. Read my favorite book or listen to some music. C. Cry my heart out. It helps me restart my system. D. Think it over. I gotta understand what made me so angry and how to avoid it. Option A adds 40 points to your basket. Option B gives you 30 points. C is worth 10 points, and D is worth 20 points. 12. Your friend's having a housewarming party. What do you bring to it? A. Some food or something else practical will do. B. I'll write a poem or make a fun collage and frame it to make it memorable. C. I'll just ask them what they need for the new house. D. Nothing. My presence is the best gift. In case you chose option A, give yourself 10 points. B adds 30 points to your score. C is worth 20, and D is a 40-point option. 13. What time do you usually go to bed? A. 10 p.m. Well, 11 p.m. at the latest. I keep it healthy. B. 2 a.m. or so. And then I wake up around 2 p.m. C. What sleep? I never get any. D. 8 p.m. I need my beauty sleep. Healthy sleepers get 40 points. Night owls get 30 points. Those who never sleep win 20 points. And those who go to bed early get 10 points. 14. Which of the following sounds like the absolute worst idea to you? A. Never leaving my hometown for the rest of my life. B. Doing all the work and watching others getting promoted. C. Have someone else pick my hairstyle for me. I just can't pick my hairstyle. D. Never knowing my schedule. I can't live without a good plan. Those who went with option A get 30 points. Option B is worth 40 points. C brings you 20 points, and D is worth 10 points. 15. Pick a color combination you'd never get tired of wearing. A. Black and white. I'm classy. B. Gray and pink. Official with a playful twist. C. Orange, purple, and emerald with a sparkle of blue. I dress brightly. D. Stripes, polka dots, paisley. It's not about colors, it's about patterns. In case you chose option A, add 40 points to your score. B brings you 10 points. C brings you 30 points, and D is worth 20 points. Alright, it's time to sum up your points. If you ended up with 150 to 230 points, your hidden superpower is invisibility. You can always disappear from an event you don't like smoothly. If you don't want anyone to notice you at a lecture or business meeting, they never will. Did you get 240 to 330 points? Congrats! You have the superpower of flying. You're doing things way faster than other people. Sometimes they ask you to share your secret of being here and there at the same time. You fly from place to place and are never late. You're always the first to try out a new trend or visit a new place. In case you scored 340 to 420 points, you're a super brain. You're one of the smartest people around. You can figure out the solution to any problem in a matter of seconds. When life gets too easy, your brain gets bored. You have an excellent sense of humor and irony. You like to plan things, and your plan always works out. Those who got 430 to 510 points, you have the superpower of reading minds. You have a lot of friends, and you make new ones easily. You always feel when something's wrong with them, and you know exactly how to help. You can also make others change their mind if it's in your interest. And if your final score is 520 points or more, you're a money magnet. You never run out of it. The second you realize that you could use some more cash, you find opportunities to make it float your way. You know how to save and how to spend money. I scored 410, by the way.
Marjorie owns a farm. There are 6 apple trees and 7 lemon trees on her land. Each apple tree has 12 fruits, and each lemon tree has 10 fruits. How many oranges are there in total? Zero. We didn't say that Marjorie has any orange trees. Marjorie inserts her diamond ring in a glass bottle and closes it with the help of a cork. Then she takes the ring out of the bottle without taking out the cork or breaking the bottle. Can you guess how she did it? Easy. She pushed the cork inside the bottle and then took out the ring. Marjorie lost her smartwatch somewhere in the fields. She uses her phone to detect the current location of her gadget. The phone draws 3 possible routes, but only one of them will actually take her to the smartwatch. Can you help Marjorie choose the right way? Route A is correct. Early in the morning, Marjorie enters one of the farm's barns. Oh no! Someone broke all the bottles with cherry juice. She asks her 3 workers to clean up the mess. Meanwhile, she interrogates them. "Who did it?" Marjorie asks. Frank replies, "Yesterday in the afternoon, I put all the cherry juice bottles on the shelves and left home. I don't know what happened." Phil says, "I didn't feel well last night, so I didn't touch the juice, and I went to bed early." And Anna says, "Yesterday I painted the fence all day. I didn't even enter the barn." Who's lying? Anna. She said she painted the fence, but it doesn't look freshly painted at all. After a long working day, Marjorie wants to relax and goes to the public swimming pool. She spots something really weird in the shower. One of these ladies is not from this planet. Can you guess who? The third lady. She's using ketchup to wash her hair instead of shampoo. Marjorie meets her 3 best friends by the pool, Megan, Sarah, and Raven. One of them gave birth to triplets 4 years ago. Can you guess who exactly? Raven. Take a look at her hands. She's wearing 3 DIY bracelets with the word Mom. The triplets are now 4 years old, and her jewelry looks like something that they could have crafted. Marjorie and her besties go to a concert, but only one of these people is a real musician. Can you guess who? It's the second guy. The first lady put her sheet music upside down. After the concert, Marjorie takes a walk down the local street. There are 100 houses numbered from 1 to 100 on the street. Can you count how many times they use the digit 9 to number all the houses? The correct answer is 19. The mystery can be solved using simple math. The digit 9 should occur in the following numbers. All we need to do is to count the number of 9s in this sequence. Marjorie comes home late at night and sees something creepy in her living room. Can you see it too? There are 3 ghosts in this room. What about the warehouse? Can you spot any ghosts here? Hello? Let's take a look at the bedroom. Ooh, there are 5 ghosts. Can someone call Ghostbusters? The next morning, Marjorie goes picking apples on her farm. Suddenly, someone spills cherry juice on her head. She noticed that someone climbed on a tree to pull that prank, but she didn't see this person's face. So Marjorie interrogates 3 people working on the farm that day. Frank says, "I was watering vegetables far away from the apple trees." Phil says, "I was in the kitchen preparing ingredients for the lemon jam production, just like you asked me." And Nina says, "I was in the garden picking lemons for the jam." Marjorie figures out who did it right away. What about you? It was Phil. He tore his shirt and a piece of fabric got stuck on the branch of an apple tree. A group of tourists arrives at the farm and Marjorie gives them a fun tour. Unfortunately, one of these guests is a thief. Can you guess who? This lady. She's sneaking cash from another person's purse. It's raining heavily all day, so Marjorie stays home alone and fries pancakes in the kitchen. Suddenly, she realizes that she had forgotten to switch off the TV in the living room and goes there. In a minute, Marjorie returns to the kitchen and gets speechless. Why? Can you guess? When Marjorie left the kitchen, one prepared pancake was on the dish, but now it's gone. All the windows are locked. So, who did it? Suddenly, Marjorie hears weird sounds from the basement. She goes there and finds the thieves. A family of raccoons broke into her house and sneaked the pancake. Can you count the exact number of animals in the basement? The task was to count the number of all animals, so the correct answer is 7. There are 4 raccoons, 1 cat, and 2 rats. The next day, Marjorie goes into her sunflower field to check how the flowers are doing. Can you spot what's odd here? There's a socket built into the ground. Marjorie goes to Megan's birthday party. One of the guests has the number 2 written on his forehead, and the other has 3. Megan offers everyone a game. All three of you have a number on your forehead. The number on one of your foreheads is the sum of the other numbers. All the numbers are unique. Now, you can't talk to each other. If you guess your number correctly, you won't have to wash dishes. So, can you guess Marjorie's number? It could either be 1 or 5. But if her number was 1, the guy with 3 would see that and guess his own number. Therefore, Marjorie has the number 5 on her forehead. The next day, Marjorie enters the farm's main barn. It's time to plant flowers in larger pots. She takes off her diamond ring to protect it from dirt. Marjorie puts it on the table. The process is almost finished, but suddenly Marjorie's phone rings and she leaves the barn to answer the call. After a while, she comes back and sees that the ring is missing. There are only 3 people on the farm today: Frank, Nina, and Megan. So Marjorie says, "One of you has taken my ring. What were you doing when I left the barn?" Frank replies, "I was in the bathroom washing pumpkins with Nina." Nina replies, "Yes, we were washing the vegetables." And Megan says, "I was just taking selfies with pumpkins. Who took the ring?" Look at this bird cage. It was opened. The canary bird flew out and took the ring. There are 3 sets of lab equipment on Marjorie's table. Can you sort the odd one out? This one doesn't have a flame. Marjorie throws a harvest festival at her farm. Her friends and coworkers chill all together. Can you spot any zombies among them? This dancer in the bushes doesn't look alive. As evening came, bright stars and a new moon showed up in the sky. Now Marjorie has to choose one of these 3 tunnels to escape. There's a family of creepy werewolves hanging out inside the first tunnel. The second tunnel is a home for mutant bats. They feed on humans and stay awake 24/7. And there is an unknown monster hiding in the third tunnel. Unknown because no one had ever returned from there alive to tell. Which tunnel is more or less safe to enter? Marjorie should choose the first tunnel. It's a new moon, so the werewolves are not dangerous yet.
Wendy is an art teacher. This morning, someone pranked her by putting glue on her coffee mug. She questioned 3 suspects. Blair says,
I didn't do it. I was too busy painting these beautiful flowers.
Jason says, I overslept and came to the studio later than you. And Zara says,
Why would I do that? You're my favorite teacher.
who did it? It was Zara. There's a glue pen in her pocket. Wendy gives her students a task and leaves the studio. After a while, she returns and sees this painting. She says, Wow, who painted this masterpiece? 3 students claim to be the author of the painting. Can you guess who tells the truth? To solve this mystery, we should take a look at their palettes. Only this student has all colors that match the painting. Wendy goes outdoors to buy some food for lunch. Suddenly, she sees a cyclist lying on the ground. Can you guess what happened here? In fact, the car hit the ketchup bottle. The cyclist just fell nearby and got stained. Wendy receives a delivery. 3 identical boxes with artist supplies. All boxes are labeled incorrectly. Wendy needs to label all boxes correctly by opening just one of them. Can you help her? Since all 3 boxes contain the wrong items, Wendy should open the third box. If it contains watercolor, the first box will definitely have brushes, and the second box, watercolors and brushes. And if she finds brushes in the third box, the first one will contain both watercolors and brushes, while the second one, watercolors only. The delivery guy walks outside and yells, "Hey, call the police! Someone stole my car!" The police begin an investigation and find these 3 suspects. One of them is a thief. Can you guess who? The first guy is just coloring his fence, and the third one is a gardener, but the second guy is hiding a lockpick in his shirt pocket, so he's the thief. Wendy comes to a party. 3 guys invite her to dance, but one of them is a werewolf. Can you guess who? The first guy is just wearing a werewolf costume. The second one has some scratches, but it proves nothing. But the third one has a real wolf tail. After the party, Wendy wakes up in a cell made of ice. She only has a pickaxe in her hand. Meanwhile, her best friend Zach is locked in a similar cell with a drill. Can you predict who will escape? Only Wendy will escape. Zach can't use a drill without electricity. The next day, Wendy arrives at the art studio. She leaves her takeaway coffee at the desk and goes to the toilet. Wendy returns and finds out that someone had drunk her beverage. She checks the cup surface for fingerprints, but she only finds her own traces. Wendy questions 3 suspects among students. Blair says, "Sorry, I've been washing my brushes in the sink. I didn't look at your desk." Jason says, "Sorry, I don't like coffee, and besides, I've been streaming stories for my followers." And Robin says, "I was changing in the dressing room to be a model for portrait class." Can you spot the thief? It was Jason. Take a look at his back pocket. He's hiding rubber gloves. That's why he didn't leave any fingerprints. Wendy receives an emergency call. Someone had stolen paintings from her art studio gallery. Wendy interrogates 3 suspects among the visitors. Sarah says, "I came here to buy some of your paintings, but when I entered the gallery, the walls were empty." Jill says, "I went blind 7 years ago, so I didn't see anything. I only visit this gallery to use your toilet." And Robert says, "Why would I rob this place? I'm the major investor." Who's lying? Jill. If she's really blind, why did she bring this photo camera with her? Wendy carries out entrance exams for art students. One of these 3 artists is left-handed. Can you guess who? It's the third guy. It's easier for lefties to hold a palette in their right hand and paint with their left. This way, his left hand works and the right one stays static. During exams, one guy named Bobby gets very sick and faints. Wendy calls the ambulance and takes him to the hospital. She's just met Bobby, so she doesn't know his relatives, but still, Wendy manages to notice his wife in the hospital right away. Can you spot her too? It's the first lady. They have identical tattoos, and the third lady has a similar mole on her cheek, so she's probably Bobby's sister. Doctors suspect poisoning, so they keep Bobby in the hospital to make tests. Meanwhile, Wendy returns to the studio and questions 3 witnesses among the applicants. Sheila says, "Bobby didn't look healthy in the first place. I don't blame him. Everyone was stressed out during exams." Sam says, "I have no idea who poisoned him, but this person is heartless." And Xavier says, "I think Bobby's just pretending to be ill to get accepted out of pity." The next day, Bobby calls Wendy with the test results. He was poisoned.
Wendy calls the police right away and they arrest one of the witnesses. Can you guess who and why? Sam. He knew about the poison before the test results were ready. The next morning, Wendy enters the studio and sees that someone has left a hot mess. Canvases are torn and paints are spilled all over the floor. Can you count all the brushes in this room? $13. What about the glass jars? Can you count the exact number? There are 8 glass jars in this studio, including this broken one. Wendy asks her 3 students, "Who's responsible for this mess?" Nina replies,
I think it was David. He never washes his hands and clothes. He's such a weirdo.
David says, "It was Nina. She's just jealous because her paintings weren't selected for an art exhibition." And Amber says,
I don't know who did it. Yesterday, I was feeling sick and stayed home.
"Who's responsible for this mess?" Take a look at the canvas frames. They're all signed. The only canvas that wasn't torn has David's name on it. Therefore, he ruined the studio and his rival's works. Wendy asked her students to the park for an en plein air class. Can you see any weird details in this area? This is an apple tree, but why are there so many oranges under it? 2 students have painted almost identical pictures. Can you help Wendy find 3 differences? Here they are. What about these portraits? Can you spot 3 differences? Over here. After the class, Wendy is trying to leave the park and gets lost. She has to walk through this confusing maze. Can you help her find the way out? Only the first path is correct. On the way home, Wendy enters a supermarket. Can you count the number of cacti? Six. Someone had broken the most expensive car in the parking lot near Wendy's apartment building. The police interrogate 3 witnesses to find out who's guilty. Carl says, "This is my car. I parked it as usual and went home. Wendy woke me up with her call." Gia says,
I was just having a yoga class in a studio nearby. This car belongs to my ex-boyfriend Carl. Too bad he loved this car more than me.
And Peter says, "Carl's my neighbor, but he's not my best friend, if you know what I mean. I've been working all day and just arrived." Who broke Carl's car? It was Gia. She's hiding a baseball bat inside her yoga mat.
Look at this picture. Where is the bank robber hiding? He's over there, behind the bushes. The bank robber has managed to escape from the police. Try to figure out where he's hiding now. See that maintenance hole? That's where the criminal is. This robber is just too fast. He's escaped again and is now hiding in one of these fitting rooms. Help the police find him. He must be in the middle fitting room. See that bag with all the cash he's stolen? Look at this image attentively and try to figure out what's wrong here. In reality, the guy is holding a tube of toothpaste in his left hand, but in the reflection in the mirror, he's got nothing in his hand. How about this picture? What's wrong here? Is this lady charging her cat? This picture looks off too, but what exactly seems strange? It's the girl in the front. She isn't reflected in the water. Now the next image to challenge your observation skills. Does anything strike you as odd in this picture? Look at the TVs. They show different things in reality and in the reflection in the mirror. Can you figure out what this means? Right you are! F plus arm equals farm. Now this one is a tiny bit tougher. What does this rebus mean? Storm, TH. It's thunderstorm. And how about this one? Can you crack it easily? Re plus boot equals reboot. Ew, insects! But can you guess this word? How many ants are there? 10. So the correct answer is 10 plus ants equals 10 ants. I have 8 fingers and 2 thumbs, but I'm not alive. What am I? I'm a pair of gloves. Which person is different from the others? Right you are, this one with shorter hair. Try to figure out which emoji is the odd one. The one at the bottom, it looks pretty angry. I challenge you to find a cat that's different from the rest. Right! It's the one closer to the bottom, facing away from you. Which image is the odd one? This little rebel is turned in the opposite direction. Have you noticed anything wrong in this picture? The ball. They're playing soccer, not basketball. Which cow is different from the others? The one waving at you, of course. How about these burgers? Do any of them stand out? See, this burger is smaller than the rest. There's something wrong with this picture. What exactly? It's the river. It seems to just disappear under the bridge. Is there a hole in the ground there? Which emoji is the odd one? The one with its mouth missing. There's something that doesn't seem quite right in this picture. But what? The rainbow. Its colors are a bit messed up. Can you find a pig among these birdies? Here it is, hiding behind the bush. Which emoji is different from the others? It's the unwinking one, with both of its eyes open. These smiley faces look so cool, all but one. This emoji isn't exactly all that smiley. There's something wrong with this keyboard. Can you figure out what exactly? There are 2 8s on it, but no 9s. Which pooch is the odd one? This doggy seems to be friendlier than the rest. Find the odd avocado. Right, it's the one with the heart-shaped pit. Which emoji is different from the others? This little guy is just a wannabe. It isn't a unicorn. It's a horse that's probably dreaming of becoming a unicorn. Can you find the odd emoji? The one at the bottom seems to be even more in love than the rest. The hearts in its eyes are bigger than what other emojis have. One of these music notes is different. Which one? Ah, now I see it! What's wrong with this picture? The calendar claims it's August 2018, but the computer is sure it's still August 2017. Can you spot a teddy bear without a hat? Here it is! There's something strange about this picture, but what exactly? One of the birds doesn't have a reflection. Creepy. Which sheep couple is different from the others? This one. The lady sheep is facing away from her admirer. Amy was walking through a forest and saw 3 portals in front of her. Each could take her to a different place. The first one would send her to the moon. The second portal would move her to the bottom of the Mariana Trench. And the last one would take her 30,000 years back, when large dinosaurs were still roaming our planet. Which portal should she choose to survive? The third one. Dinosaurs went extinct 65 million years ago. Amy will be safe there. John was looking for a gift for his mom at a shopping mall when he noticed that one of the stores had a mysterious extension. It led to a vault filled with diamonds and gold jewelry. As soon as the guy walked in, the store owner locked him in the room. He told John he had to eat one of the 3 cookies on the table and manage to get out of the room. Then he'll be rewarded generously. The first cookie would turn John into an animal. The second cookie would turn him into a giant. And the last one would make him invisible. Which cookie should John eat? The first one. He can turn into some small animal, like a hamster, and squeeze through the bars. That's how he'd get out and win the gold. Mr. Lawrence called the police. He said someone had taken his car for a joyride, crashed it into a streetlight, and ran away. The man was sure it had been one of his neighbors. The police questioned 3 of them. Ivy answered she'd been at work and arrived home only in the evening. Cameron told the police he'd been helping his dad remove old stuff from the attic. And Aaron claimed he'd been hanging out with his friends, eating pizza, and watching the latest series. After listening to all the suspects, the police officers arrested one of them. Who was it? It was Cameron. There's no attic in his house. He invented the whole story. Naomi invited her friends to a pajama party at her house. The only thing she asked the girls was, "Don't enter my brother's room. He loves playing tricks on people. And once you get there, you might not be able to get out." They were gossiping and watching viral TikTok videos when one of Naomi's friends asked, "Wait, where's Rebecca?" Meanwhile, Rebecca went to the kitchen to drink some water, but she got lost and ended up in Naomi's brother's room. The door closed behind her back, and it wouldn't open. The girl noticed a password lock with letters on it. Rebecca looked around and spotted a piece of paper on the table with 5 numbers on it: 3, 7, 6, 9, 2. The girl thought for a while, then entered a combination of letters and got out of the room. What was the password? The code was the first letters of the 5 numbers, T, S, S, N, T. An expensive ring went missing from a jewelry store on the first floor of a large shopping mall. The manager called the police. After watching the CCTV camera footage, they had 3 suspects: a student, a woman with a daughter, and an elderly man. The student said he had agreed to meet with his friend next to the jewelry store. "I didn't even set foot inside," the woman said. "I was at the movies with my daughter here in the mall when everything happened." The elderly man said, "Yes, I did enter the store. I felt unwell and asked for a glass of water, but I didn't take the ring." Who's lying? Look, all the movies running at that time had a 16+ age rating. The woman wouldn't have been able to watch any of them with her young daughter, so she must have lied.
While Miss Virginia Dell was away on her summer vacation, her house got robbed. 3 people were caught on the security camera and they became the main suspects. Ayla, Virginia's best friend, said,
I've been coming to pick up mail.
Sophia, the housemaid, said,
I've come every Wednesday to clean the house.
and Danica, the gardener, said,
I come every Friday to take care of the garden.
Who robbed Miss Dell? It must have been Sophia, the housemaid. She said that she cleaned the house every week. But look at the house. It's very dusty. She's shady, and she must be the main suspect. Last Friday, Mary sneaked out to a party without asking her mom's permission. Her mom found out about it and grounded Mary for a month. No friends, no parties.
2 weeks after that, there was another party, and Mary couldn't miss it. The morning after the second party, Miss Roberts walked into Mary's room and asked her what she'd been doing in the evening.
I was solving my new puzzle,
The girl answered. Mary got grounded for another month. Why? Take a look at the puzzle. She's barely started it. It doesn't look like an evening-long activity. Jane was a straight-A college student, but her friends hadn't heard from her in a week. When she didn't show up for an exam, her best friend got concerned. She came to visit, but Jane wasn't home. So, she reported that Jane had been kidnapped. There were 3 suspects, all of them Jane's ex-boyfriends. Michael, Miguel, and Daniel. All of them denied being in any contact with the girl. Who should be arrested? The note on the fridge is a clue. It looks like a recipe, but it's not. It's the number of letters you should take from each word. 2/4 of milk gives us MI. Then we have CH, then A, E, and L. It seems that Michael has something to do with Jane's disappearance. I'll be showing you combinations of emojis, and your task is to guess what fruit or vegetable they stand for. Here's the first, very simple one. What do you think it is? So there's an egg and a plant. So, of course, it's an eggplant. The next one. This time, it's not so obvious. Do you have any ideas? It's a ladyfinger. Good job! Off to the next one. I wonder if you can get this one right. A car and a rat. A carrot, of course. Now let's add some letters to help you. What about this one? What's your bet? O and a leaf. That's an olive, of course. Okay, here's the next one, and I know you'll get it right. Some sugar, or rather something sweet, and a potato. Of course, it's a sweet potato. Okay, now it's getting a bit more complicated. What's your call? There are 2 types of people who love it and those who can't stand it. It's cauliflower. Okay, and here's the last one for you. Q, a comb, and a bear. Cucumber. Great job with these ones. Esme was having a walk in the forest and got lost. She was wandering around until she found the road leading to the house of a witch, her old friend. Esme approached the house, but the witch wasn't there. Instead, there were 4 open portals. On the table, Esme found the witch's to-do list. Can you figure out which portal the witch entered? The first 2 tasks on the witch's to-do list are completed, so she's most likely left to catch some frogs. The number in brackets must mean the number of sides each portal has. 10 is a star, 3 is a triangle, 4 is a square, and a 0 is a circle. To catch some frogs, she must have used the portal that looks like a square. Cindy was a kind and beautiful girl in her junior year. 2 best friends, Dylan and Kobe, wanted to ask her out to prom. So the guys decided to ask Cindy's best friend which of them likes Cindy more. The girl didn't want to share her best friend's secrets, but she gave them a hint.
Cindy loves pizza, but she can't stand burgers. She likes to go to the pool, but never goes to the gym. Her favorite animal is the llama, but she's afraid of zebras.
Which of the boys does Cindy like? Cindy's friend wanted to give the guy a clue, so we have to look for some pattern. All the things Cindy likes have double letters in them. Dylan has the double L in his name, so he must be the one Cindy likes more. Kate woke up in a dungeon and couldn't remember what had happened to her. The place didn't look safe, so she decided to get out. The door was open and she left the room, walking down the hallway. Several minutes later, Kate stopped in front of 2 elevators and one door with an exit sign on it. Is it the way out? In any case, the door was locked and required a password. Can you guess what the password is? Pay attention to the numbers on the elevators. They say 13 and 11, so the password must be 1311. In a small, quiet town, young men started to go missing. The police had been looking for them for many months and couldn't find any traces. But one day, they discovered an abandoned basement in an old swimming pool. Inside, there were 3 young men who claimed they had been held there for 3 months. One of them was the kidnapper. But who? Look, one guy doesn't have facial hair whatsoever, and another man has grown a beard since he hasn't shaved in 3 months. But this guy is freshly shaved, so he must be the kidnapper. Oliver is terrible at packing. Whenever he goes somewhere, he always takes stuff he'll never need, so he needs your help with some packing. Today, he's packing to go camping in the forest. Take a look at his bag and decide what he won't need on the trip. Look, there's an electric hairdryer. There's no electricity in the forest, so he can definitely leave it at home. Now look at what Oliver has packed for his vacation in Egypt, where he'll be staying in an all-inclusive hotel. Is there anything he won't need? Is that laundry detergent? Yeah, you don't wash your clothes yourself in an all-inclusive hotel. Now he's off to his girlfriend's place to spend the weekend with her. What does he have in his bag that he really won't need there? Is it a roll of toilet paper? I think it's very likely that his girlfriend has that. Oliver is going to visit his grandparents and stay with them for a week. They live on a farm where there are cows and horses. Oliver is going to chill and do some gardening. Now check his suitcase. What's there that he won't need? I don't think he'll need his tuxedo. He'll most likely be wearing some casual clothes all the time. Yasmin is wandering through a forest and sees a spooky house. As soon as she steps inside, the door behind her back slams shut. It's the house of an old magician who doesn't like visitors. But there's a chance for strangers to escape. There are 3 drinks. The red one will turn Yasmin into a mouse for an hour. The green one will allow her to fly for an hour. The blue one will make her breathe fire for an hour. Which drink should Yasmin choose if she wants to get out? Yasmin should drink the red liquid. She'll turn into a mouse and will be able to escape through this little hole in the front door.
Okay, it's time to check how sleuthy you are. And I have a couple of riddles for you to crack, like a walnut. Here's the first one. Detective Callum is the best detective in town who has caught many criminals. Of course, some people don't like him, so he must be mindful. One day, he ordered his usual pack of donuts, which he eats when he thinks about twisted cases. Half an hour later, the doorbell rang, and there were 2 packs of donuts delivered. One of them must be poisoned, but which one? Look, this box is the same as the empty donut boxes in his office, which he always orders. So this box must be safe. But the other delivered box is very suspicious. I wouldn't eat that. Sophie has everything in particular places in her bedroom, but she is the only person who knows what is where. Quinn, Sophie's sister, asks Sophie to lend her a necklace for a party. The necklace was safely stored in a little box, but the box was hidden. So Sophie drew a map for Quinn to help her find it. Can you help Quinn to find the right box? The note is basically a map of Sophie's room. You just have to find the object she drew. Following the pattern, here's a box. The necklace must be there. Nova is taking piano lessons, but she doesn't like them. Her mother insists on her playing a musical instrument and makes her practice every day. During the summer holidays, Nova's mom went on a 2-week-long business trip and instructed her daughter to practice daily. The girl agreed, but in fact, she never even opened the piano during that time. When Mrs. Adams returned and Nova told her that she had been practicing, her mother didn't believe her. Why not? The piano's cover is dusty, which means it's been a while since Nova opened it the last time. Do you think you know countries well? Let's see.
Yay!
I'll show you several famous landmarks, and your task is to guess which country it belongs to. Okay? Let's start out easy. What do you say here? Of course, this is Lady Liberty, the Statue of Liberty, from New York City, New York. Great job! This one is easy peasy too. What do you say? It's the Eiffel Tower from Paris, France. These are one of the most ancient structures in the modern world. Can you name and locate them? These are the Pyramids of Giza, located in Egypt. Here's the next one. Can you locate it properly? This is Sydney Opera House from Sydney, Australia. Did you get it right? Another famous landmark, Machu Picchu. But where is it located? Do you remember? This beautiful landmark belongs in Peru. Gabriella is an archaeologist who explores the old ruins of Greece. One day, as she was working, she walked through a tunnel, but at the end of it, there was just a dead end.
Oh no!
Luckily, there were 3 doors, but only one of them would lead her out of the tunnel. There is a sign with 3 hints. One of the statements is wrong. Which door should Gabriella pick? 1. Door 2 will not lead you to freedom. 2. Door 1 or 3 will lead you to freedom. 3. Door 1 or 2 will lead you to freedom. One of the statements is wrong. If the wrong one is the first statement, then door 2 is the one Gabriella needs. But then the second statement is wrong too. If statement 2 is wrong, then door 2 is the one leading to freedom. But then the first statement is wrong too. If statement 3 is wrong, then door 3 is the one Gabriella needs. In this case, the other 2 statements are correct as well. So, door 3 it is. Mr. Morris is a landlord of an apartment building with a no pets policy. None of the residents are allowed to have any kind of pets. One resident reported that they have been hearing a cat in one of the neighboring apartments. Look at these 2 apartments. In which one of them does a cat live? Look, in this apartment, the walls and sofa are scratched on the bottom. These aren't human traces, so the cat must be living here. Several months later, there was another complaint. This time, someone heard a dog. Mr. Morris inspected 2 neighboring apartments again, looking for traces. In which apartment does a dog live? It must be this apartment. Look, the resident forgot to hide the dog leash. Okay, let's get back and locate a couple of more landmarks. What's the home country of the Taj Mahal? Taj Mahal is located in Agra, India. Okay, what is this, and where do you think it is? It's the Great Wall of China, located in, well, I think China would be the safe bet. Can you recognize this construction? What country can you find it in? It's the Colosseum from Rome, Italy. Maeve needs to log into her mom's laptop to delete the file she accidentally sent her. She doesn't know the passcode, but her mom always leaves notes with passcodes around in case she forgets it herself. Here's the only note Maeve could find. Can you help her guess the passcode? The key is to count the number of figures on each picture. There is 1 circle, so the first digit is 1. There are 4 big triangles, but they form 3 more little triangles, so the second digit is 7. Then 3 squares and 2 circles. The passcode is 1732. Another day, another passcode to crack. 1 week later, Maeve needed to get into her mom's computer again, this time to delete the email with her not-so-good grades. The previous passcode didn't work. Her mom had already changed it. But here is a new note with the new hints. These are the names of Maeve's family members. But what are the digits? The first name and the digit next to it give a hint on how to crack it. It's Maeve's name, and the number 5 must indicate the number of letters in it. So, other digits are the numbers of letters in other names. So, 5 for Maeve, 8 for Virginia, 4 for John, and 6 for Oliver. Nicole hosted a party in honor of her cat's birthday, and she invited several friends over. Karis didn't want to go there because she wanted a free evening to play her new video game. So she lied that her mom had grounded her and made her clean the room. To make it up to her best friend, the next day, Karis invited Nicole for a movie night. When Nicole arrived, she understood that Karis had made an excuse not to go to the party. How did she figure it out? Look, Karis's room is a total mess. If her mom forced her to clean it the previous night, it'd be way neater. Arden is on an expedition in a winter forest, and she got lost. Her devices froze, and she didn't know where to go, so she was walking straight, hoping to see something familiar. But then, she came across 3 ways, all of which seemed dangerous. The way straight goes past the cave where a huge brown bear is sleeping. The road on the left goes through the place where a pack of hungry wolves live. The right road will lead her to the lake with thin ice. Which way should Arden go? She should go straight and keep quiet. The bear is sleeping and most probably won't even wake up unless she makes too much of a noise. And a few more of these. This is the Acropolis, but where is it from? The Acropolis is located in Athens, Greece. This is a famous castle. Do you know where it is? The one and only Neuschwanstein Castle is nowhere else but in Germany. The last one of those for today. You've got this. Can you locate this landmark? It's Stonehenge, and it's in Wiltshire, England. Hey, good work!